Chapter 2277. A good show is on. 1. Seeing the 7 crystals flower getting better day by day. Lung Ruoxue and the others were very happy. However, Lung Ruoxue was thinking that her, Shun Nuo, and Liu's hard work had not been in vain. On the other hand, the others were thinking that they finally did not have to use various precious medicinal herbs for their experiments anymore. This was because the medicinal herbs used to create the 7 crystals a flower's nutrient solution were all fixed. There were only 5 types. However, when they thought of those 5 medicinal herbs, everyone's heart still ached. It was because each of the 5 medicinal ingredients was a priceless heavenly treasure. For example, the dragon's beard grass, the fish scale flower, and so on. Any one of them would cause countless people to go crazy, especially Shen Nuo and Lui Wei, who were both alchemists. Although they knew that Lung Ruoxue had many precious heavenly treasures in her hands, their eyes were still shining, and their hearts were beating fast. In the end, Lung Ruoxue promised to give them a portion of each of the 5 herbs. Only then did the 2 of them forcefully suppress their thoughts of keeping the herbs. From this, it could be seen how attractive good herbs were to alchemists. In reality, for the sake of precious natural treasures, the 2 of them could not wait to sell themselves to Lung Ruoxue. Right now, even though the 2 of them did not say it explicitly, they had been lazing around at her place all day long. Therefore, it was almost equivalent to selling themselves. However, Lung Ruoxue didn't mind their little schemes. In her eyes, these 2 people's characters were trustworthy. They were also important figures in the divine world. Being on good terms with them would only bring her benefits and no harm. Moreover, these 2 people had rich experience in alchemy. Therefore, if she had anything she did not understand, she could ask them for advice. She basically had all the medicinal pills they needed for alchemy. Therefore, this was beneficial to both sides. During this period of time, the 3 of them had been busy with the matter of the 7 crystal flower. As a result, the relationship between the 3 of them had rapidly warmed up. Now, they were both teachers and friends, and their relationship was even stronger than before. Through the trio's hard work, the 7 crystal flower's condition improved day by day. Its vitality was also slowly recovering. Right now, although the 7 crystal flower's petals had yet to fully recover, the few petals closest to the heart of the flower had already recovered very well. They had become bright and fresh, as if they had just bloomed. Lung Ruoxue and the rest were also shocked to discover that the petals of the 7 crystal flower were actually dark red in color, and not the black color that they had always thought. This fact surprised Lung Ruoxue and the others. Now, there were people surrounding the 7 crystal flower almost every day, curiously watching its recovery. Who asked the 7 crystal flower to change every day? Especially the little fox, after knowing that the 7 crystal flower was gradually recovering. It had been guarding the 7 crystal flower closely and would not leave no matter what. On a certain day, as usual, Lung Ruoxue fed the 7 crystal flower the nutrient solution. Just as she was about to turn around and leave, she suddenly heard a soft "thank you." 2 words. These 2 words shocked Lung Ruoxue. Then, she lifted her beautiful eyes to search, but could not find the person who had spoken. This made her feel puzzled. "It's me." Another soft sigh was heard, and Lung Ruoxue suddenly came to her senses. "You're the one talking?" Lung Ruoxue asked as she looked at the 7 crystal flower's flower pot. Furthermore, she saw that the flower pot seemed to be shyly trembling. However, it was not trembling too much, so she was not too sure. The 7 crystal flowers spoke. Did the ancestor speak? Upon hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, everyone and the little fox looked at Lung Ruoxue in unison and said in unison, "Thanks, can't you guys hear me?" Lung Ruoxue blinked her eyes and asked with uncertainty. Everyone and the little fox shook their heads in unison. "They can't hear me," the voice said. "I'm sending you a message. My body is still very weak, so I can't really speak." "I see." Lung Ruoxue nodded. Then, she glanced at the curious crowd and the eager little fox. She smiled and said, "The 7 crystal flower sent me a voice transmission. However, its body is still too weak, so it can't speak for now. That's great. Seeing that their ancestor was finally awake, the little fox was so excited that she was about to cry again. Dongfang Yu and the others were so frightened that they hurriedly coaxed her. When this little fellow cried, it would definitely cause the mountains to collapse and the earth to crack. It would be too horrible to look at. Moreover, once it started to pour, it would really be like a mountain flood that could not be stopped. They were very experienced in this. Therefore, when they saw that the little fox was about to cry, they wanted to kill this possibility in the cradle. Seeing the crowd coaxing the little fox, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but snicker to herself. It seemed like everyone had been frightened by this little fellow who loved to cry. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue, who was secretly happy, was suddenly pulled into a pair of strong arms. The owner of the arms said with a matter-of-fact expression, "Shui, the 7 crystal flower is getting better by the day. Do you have time to spend with me?" During this period of time, he had almost become a wife-gazing rock. Every day, he would stretch out his neck just to wait for the short moment when Shui came out. So, no matter what, he had to fight for the chance to have Shui all to himself. The 7 crystal flower isn't completely healed yet, Lung Ruoxue said softly. Of course, she wanted to accompany the evildoer. However, she had promised him that she would find a way to cure the 7 crystal flower. Hence, she really didn't want to give up halfway. However, when the demon heard this, he said in an overbearing manner, "Don't we still have Shino and Luyue? They'll be in charge of the nutrient fluids production from now on. You're being requisitioned by me." Lung Ruoxue was speechless. Why did his words sound so? However, although the demon's idea was good, it was too difficult to realize. Not to mention the others, Songdu would not let him succeed. As soon as the evildoer's voice fell, a white light whizzed to the side of the two people. Then, the owner of the white light said in a fierce voice, "Neo doesn't belong to you alone. What right do you have to commandeer her?" The white light that spoke was precisely Tsong. Because other than him, no one else dared to say these words. "It's not just mine." The demon narrowed his dark eyes dangerously and said in an extremely unfriendly tone, "Of course." Azure puffed out her chest and looked straight at the demon without fear. "You? Are you looking to die?" When a demon was angry, the consequences would be very serious. "Well, talk if you can kill me." It was a direct provocation. As soon as they heard this, everyone knew that the man and the beast were going to fight again. So, they very tactfully picked up the little fox and left the place where the tragedy was about to happen. However, the little fox's face was full of excitement. It was obvious that she wanted to watch a good show. Seeing this, everyone was quite helpless. Other than crying, this little fox had another hobby. She liked to watch others fight. Sigh, I really don't know how it developed this hobby. Anyway, as long as there are people fighting, it will be extremely excited and sometimes even throw the sadness to the back of its mind. I really don't know who it got such a gossiping from. Chapter 2278. A good show is on, too. However, at this moment, everyone's only thought was that they could not become cannon fodder. Therefore, the great elder tactfully covered the excited little fox's eyes and carried it far away. In an instant, other than the huge 7 crystal flower that had yet to fully recover, there was only Lung Ruoxue, the raging evildoer, and Tsong. However, this man and beast did not act as everyone had expected. They did not start a fight immediately. Instead, they turned their gazes towards Lung Ruoxue. The devilish eyes were deep and aggrieved, filled with resentment. Tsong's dark and clear eyes were filled with pity. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue had a headache. Was this man and beast trying to act pitiful? Lung Ruoxue was not afraid of them fighting. He was most afraid of them being like this. She couldn't handle it. Since he couldn't handle it, he could only play dumb. Therefore, Lung Ruoxue also looked at them with an innocent expression. Wasn't it just a competition of pitifulness and innocence? She would not lose either. Lung Ruoxue thought to herself. After a long time, the 2 humans and 1 beast, who had been staring at each other for a long time, could not help but laugh helplessly. This time, evildoer and Tsong didn't get any advantage. The winner was Lung Ruoxue. Seeing them bury the hatchet with a smile, Lung Ruoxue's heart, which had been in her throat, could finally be at ease. Then she wiped the cold sweat off her forehead and thought to herself, that was close. AI, Shue is getting more and more cunning. Glancing at Lung Ruoxue, who had clearly heaved a sigh of relief, the demon said with a face full of hidden bitterness, "Isn't that so?" Azure agreed, not going against Demon's words. After saying this, Song and evildoer glanced at each other and sighed. Seeing them like this, Lung Ruoxue finally could not hold back her laughter. Were these two guys trying to make him happy? Even though they would not admit it, Lung Ruoxue knew that even if they were to really fight, this man and beast would definitely have a sense of propriety. Thus, Lung Ruoxue was happy to cooperate with them. But now, these two people seemed to have the intention of joining forces. As expected, the moment she thought of that, the man and the beast pounced towards Lung Ruoxue. Following that, a white light flashed and the two of them disappeared. He glanced at the place where the two people and the beast had been and the first elder who was hiding in the corner. He then turned to look at Shen Nuo and Lui Wei, patted their shoulders, and said, "I'll leave the treatment of the 7 crystal flower to you guys. Yes, that girl Shue has increased our workload. I wonder if we can ask her for overtime pay?" After thinking for a while, Shen Nuo could not help but ask, "If you can get it, I'll support you," the first elder said with an evil smile. Who would have thought that after hearing these words, Shen Nuo would actually give up? After that, he was openly despised by the first elder and the rest, and without any complaints, he took up the responsibility of taking care of the 7 crystal flower. Thanks at this moment, Lung Ruoxue and the demon were brought into the God Protection Pagoda by Tsong. "Tsong, why did you bring us into the God Protecting Pagoda?" Lung Ruoxue asked in confusion. "If I don't bring you to the God Protecting Tower, do you want me to watch you enter the broken bracelet?" Song Chi snorted. This was called the first to strike is the best. Otherwise, once the two of them entered the broken bracelet, it could only watch helplessly. Who asked it not to enter? However, the words broken bracelet deeply provoked the little one, following which Lung Ruoxue and the demon heard a furious voice ring out beside them. "Damn it, you're the broken bracelet. Your whole family is made of broken bracelets." "I'm not a bracelet." When Azure heard this, he said in a calm manner, "Oomph, you damn tower." Qingju said, unwilling to be outdone, although he was not at his peak condition yet. And even if he was at his peak condition, he might not be able to defeat this broken tower, but he was definitely not afraid of it. That was why he dared to challenge Song. However, what made him most unhappy was that he couldn't leave the universal bracelet now. Otherwise, he would definitely go out and fight this guy one-on-one, who asked this fellow to always snatch his sister away from him. As long as he had the opportunity, he would definitely teach it a lesson. Qingju was filled with hatred. However, Lung Ruoxue felt a headache coming on when she saw the two little fellows at each other's throats. She knew that Qingju was no match for Tsong, so Qingju could only be bullied. She really did not want to see Qingju cry, so she had no choice but to change the topic. "Tsong, you brought us into the God Protecting Pagoda. You should have something to say, right?" Hee, Neo's smart. When Azure heard this, he smiled. "What is it?" Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. "Do you know this person?" Song smiled mysteriously. Then, he raised his small claws and a light screen appeared in front of Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue was stunned when she saw the person on the screen. She then asked, "Cheap old ancestor?" "Song, this person is my family's cheap old ancestor. You let me see him. Did something happen to him?" Lung Ruoxue could not help but guess. "He's fine. Moreover, he's heading toward the Yao family's divine realm. He's probably here to attack you." Azure said with a smile. "Suppress me? Are you saying that the Yao family is being dishonest again?" Lung Ruoxue raised her brows and asked indifferently. "And then, while you were researching medicinal pills for the 7 crystal flower, the old man of the Yao family secretly contacted many large forces, such as the Alchemist Guild headquarters, the Artifact Master Guild headquarters, the Ascender Alliance, and the Beast Race. They were all invited. It won't be long before these major powers arrive at the Yao family's divine realm. Azure explained with a smile. Are you here to die? Hearing this, the demon said coldly, Hee. It's up to them to decide if they'll send themselves to their deaths. However, there are plenty of people who want to fish in troubled waters. Cold laughed even more delightedly. Its face was filled with an expression of schadenfreude. Seeing it like this, Lung Ruoxue really didn't know if she should pity those fellows who were invited because she could tell that Cold was very bored. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue suddenly thought of a fact and asked, Cheap Old Ancestor is here, representing the Armament Guild headquarters? Of course, not only him, but his master is also here. Azure reminded. They're probably here to join in the fun. Lung Ruoxue understood. Are you sure? Why don't you think that they might be here to put righteousness before family? Azure asked, somewhat puzzled. Seeing Neo so calm, it felt that it had no sense of accomplishment, which made it a bit disappointed. AI, how it wished it could see Neo's panic-stricken appearance. Unfortunately, this wish seemed to be difficult. Mo Yin and our cheap ancestor are both very protective of their own. It's impossible for them to put righteousness before family unless they've taken the wrong medicine. Lung Ruoxue said with certainty. She was very confident in this. Chapter 2279. A good show is on. 3. Maybe they just took the wrong medicine. Song mumbled softly. However, no matter how soft his voice was, Lung Ruoxue could still hear him. What did Azure mean by this? Lung Ruoxue was speechless. Why did it seem like it was hoping that its cheap ancestor would put righteousness before family? The helpless Lung Ruoxue automatically ignored Song's resentful words. She raised her head and looked at the white sky above her, feeling a little sad. However, very quickly, Lung Ruoxue forgot about these small interludes and admired the Yao family head's appearance, which was like a trapped beast, with a face full of excitement. When she found out that Song Yu had ordered Lil Fire to abduct the Yao family's grand elder and the rest, Lung Ruoxue expressed her deep sympathy for the Yao family. However, it was only sympathy. She had no intention of being kind enough to let Lil Fire release them. In addition, she was also clear that the Yao family didn't have much money left. Xiaohua and the other beasts probably wouldn't be able to rob anything from the Yao family. And the current Yao family was also in a situation where they had no one to use. Elder Yao Jiao, who had been put in house arrest by the Yao family's head because of the repeated kidnapping of the Yao family elders, was released. However, when he heard that the first elder and the others had disappeared again, he didn't show any gloating expression, but instead expressed deep concern. After all, as members of the Yao family, they were bound together for good or bad. The disappearance of the Yao family elders was definitely not good news for the Yao family. Furthermore, this news had spread out uncontrollably. To the Yao family who had been trying their best to hide it, it was definitely adding hail to snow. At this time, although the head of the Yao family knew who had kidnapped them, he had no way to save them. This was because all his thoughts were focused on entertaining the various major forces, and Elder Yao Jiao's work was naturally focused on this. No, old man Ning, are you really not in a hurry? The head of the Chung clan, who had been spinning around like a headless fly, couldn't help but ask after feeling a little dizzy. Seeing old man Ning's calm and composed appearance, he really wanted to bite him hard. AI, he wasn't the emperor, he wasn't in a hurry. No, he was not a eunuch. Just as he thought this, Master Chung immediately reacted and glared at Master Ning. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family took another sip of tea and said helplessly, What's the use of me being anxious? If I'm anxious, won't those people come? However, I feel that the old man of the Yao family should be even more anxious than me right now, right? You should know that the Yao family's elders have gone missing again. Thinking of this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but be secretly happy. He didn't need a guest to know who did this. Moreover, not only did he know, everyone on Earth knew. It is reasonable to say that he should be anxious, but right now, he has clearly placed the safety of the Yao family's first elder and the others before dealing with you. Therefore, you should be the one to be anxious first." The head of the Chung family sighed softly. He didn't know what to say when he thought of the elders of the Yao family who had gone missing twice. How could those snakes do such a thing? They were really, really too evil. But to him, it was a great satisfaction. Furthermore, even with his eyes closed, he could guess the old man's reaction. "I'm not in a hurry. If I'm so anxious that I'm stomping my feet, then he'll have fallen into that old man's trap. I'm afraid he can't wait to see me throw myself into chaos." The master of the Ning family said, "That's true. However, I heard that this time the Alchemist Guild and the Armament Guild also sent people. Do you think they will stand on the Yao family's side? If that's the case, you'll be in a passive position." The clan head of the Chung clan said with a face full of worry. He was well aware of the transcendent status of the Alchemist Guild and the Blacksmith Guild in the Divine Realm. These two large guilds would often not even give face to the Divine Lord's estate. Do you think that these two headquarters will be at Old Man Yao's mercy? Hearing the Chung clan's clan head's worried words, the Ning clan's clan head lightly smiled and asked. To be honest, he wasn't worried about the Armament Guild, but he wasn't certain of the Alchemist Guild's intentions. After all, from a certain perspective, the Alchemist Guild's position was more special. A 1T. However, it's better to be safe than sorry. The patriarch of the Chung clan couldn't help but remind him. Keep your worries to yourself. The master of the Ning family consoled him. He looked calm on the surface, but in fact he was not that calm on the inside. He was only slightly relieved when the people from the two headquarters arrived at the Yao family's main city. This was because he saw Mo Yin and Lung Xiaoyu in the Armament Guild headquarters team. However, the two of them acted as if they did not see him and turned a blind eye to him. Thanks, the master of the Ning family was very confused, but since the other party pretended not to know him, he could only ignore his existence. When he saw the people from the Armament Guild headquarters, the Ning family head immediately informed Lung Ruoxue of the situation. However, Lung Ruoxue was much calmer than he had expected and did not comment much on Mo Yin and Lung Xiaoyu's reactions. This made the Ning family head even more confused. However, he didn't ask any further and remained as calm as ever in the inn in the Yao clan's main city. During this period, many family representatives had visited the people from the two headquarters, but only the Ning family had adopted the policy of biding their time. "Patriarch, should we also go and see Jiang Ning and His Excellency Mo Yin?" In the room of the master of the Ning family, the seventh elder of the Ning family asked for his opinion. "Why should I see them? I don't need them to refine pills or weapons." Hearing this, the master of the Ning family blinked his eyes, looking puzzled. Being on good terms with them will only benefit our Ning family. Besides, they're here for that girl. If we take the initiative, they'll have to consider our position when they express their opinions. So, in general, it's still good. The seventh elder racked his brain to think of the benefits of meeting the two people and reminded them, who knew that, after hearing his words, the clan head didn't take it seriously at all and wave his hand. Our Ning family doesn't need to curry favor with them. He was also very proud, okay? Moreover, in terms of seniority, Mo Yin and Jiang Ning were not as senior as him. So, before he knew the other's intentions, he was not willing to lower himself to meet those two people. When the seventh elder heard how stubborn his master was, he knew that it was useless to persuade him. So he could only dispel the idea in his heart. Just like that, the Ning family became the only power that had not paid a visit to Jiang Ning and Mo Yin. As soon as the Ning family appeared in the inn, they would immediately become the center of attention. There were even a few times when the seventh elder heard the other party whisper that the Ning family was too arrogant. If he didn't consider the consequences, he almost couldn't control himself and beat up those people who were making sarcastic remarks. However, when the seventh elder reported these things to his family head, the calmness of his family head made the seventh elder quite annoyed. Just like that, the seventh elder of the Ning family's depression continued until the banquet that the Yao family had set up to welcome all the forces. As one of the top forces in the divine realm, no matter how much the head of the Yao family hated the Ning family, the Ning family would naturally be invited. Seeing the excitement of the head of the Ning family when he received the invitation, 7th Elder Ning was deeply worried. Although he really wanted to say, "Master, can you not be so excited?" Those who didn't know would think that you were going to cause a scene. And in fact, Master Ning really wanted to smash the place. He had been waiting for this day, ever since he found out that the Yao family had invited many other major forces. In addition, even though it was called a welcome banquet, no one, including the Yao family, was sure what the outcome would be. Whether or not both the host and the guests would be happy, no one was sure. Especially the Yao family. Since the arrival of the Armament Masters Guild and the Alchemist Guild, the entire Yao family had been in a state of anxiety and excitement. With this kind of contradictory mood, under the financial support of the Yao family, the reception banquet in the inn where Master Ning and the others lived finally began. As the host of the banquet, Elder Yao Jun naturally stayed in the inn and busied himself with work. On the day of the banquet, the head of the Yao family arrived at the inn unexpectedly early. Of course, his main target was Jiangning. As for the Ning family master and the others, they were completely ignored by him. Seeing that he had been neglected, the master of the Ning family remained calm. However, the master of the Chung family pretended to complain, "This damn thing is so realistic." When he saw people from the Alchemist Guild headquarters, he cast everyone to the side. What else? He now hates us to the bone. Do you expect him to treat us like guests? The master of the Ning family teased. Not to the extent of being a VIP, but I didn't expect him to be unwilling to even do things to save face now. It seems that the hatred he has for our 7 families is not just a little bit. The head of the Chung clan was speechless. It's good that you know. The master of the Ning family smiled and found a seat himself. Seeing this, the master of the Chung family also sat down beside him. At this moment, a loud phoenix's cry suddenly sounded, followed by a dragon's cry, and then a tiger's roar. The roars of the 3 beasts echoed each other, as if they were competing with each other. The weaker people's faces gradually turned pale when they heard the beast's roar. It's going to be even more lively now. Chapter 2280. Beautiful Man 1. Hearing the roars of the beasts, the master of the Ning family couldn't help but frown. He was the one who had said those words just now. Moreover, in the eyes of others, the roars of the dragon, phoenix, and tiger were powerful and imposing. But in his eyes, these were all demonic sounds that filled his ears. They were all noisier. Moreover, he didn't need a guess to know why these beasts were here. AI, old man Yao should be happy now, right? However, this was all thanks to Jiangning. This was because alchemists were simply too attractive to both humans and beasts. However, no matter what the reason was, the fact that these beasts were willing to come to the Yao family's divine realm was something that the old man of the Yao family was gratified about. As soon as the sounds of the dragon, phoenix, and tiger appeared, the head of the Yao family came out of the room with a face full of joy. His face was even red, making it obvious that he was in an extremely good mood. Normally, before the banquet started, a person with the status of the head of the Yao family didn't need to appear too early. After all, he was the head of the family. Unfortunately, the Yao family had been tormented by the Blue Snake clan during this period of time, and their reputation had been tarnished. Various versions of rumors were everywhere, so the Yao family, from the head of the family to the ordinary clansmen, attached great importance to the reception of the various forces. This could be seen from the banquet this time. Therefore, the head of the Yao family had lowered his status and came out early to build a good relationship with everyone. And the first person he wanted to rope in was naturally the Alchemist Guild's main guild's vice president, Jiangning. As long as Jiangning was willing to stand on his side, he would be able to win over at least half of the people and beasts. However, Jiangning wasn't someone that could be easily used, so he wasn't even sure if his plan would succeed. However, after a short period of contact, the Yao family's head and Jiangning had a very good conversation. Their relationship had improved by leaps and bounds, and they were only short of calling each other brothers. Therefore, with such a good start, the Yao family's head's confidence had increased by several times. His depressed mood which had been stirred up by the damn Blue Snake clan, had instantly lightened up. Almost everyone could sense the good mood of the head of the Yao family, so they couldn't help but wonder if he had reached some kind of agreement with Jiangning. The doubts in everyone's heart were like a cat scratching, itching. The more they wanted to know some inside information, the more they couldn't ask at this time, because everyone knew that now was definitely not a good time to inquire about this information. Right now, the time and the limelight belonged to the beasts. After the head of the Yao family came out of his room, he only glanced at the hall before immediately stepping out of the store. He raised his head and saw several huge white tigers, dragons, and phoenixes floating in the sky. However, to his disappointment, he did not see the figure of the Qilin clan. However, he was still very happy that these 3 clans were willing to give him face and come. This time, each of the 3 clans had sent 2 elders, a total of 6 beasties. However, the strength of these 6 beasties was only equivalent to a human divine emperor, so their status among the elders of the 3 clans should not be the highest. However, they were of noble birth, so even the head of the Yao family would not easily neglect them. The moment the Yao family head saw them, he immediately smiled and said affably, "Elders, please come down for a chat." The 6 huge beasts nodded and landed on the ground, transforming into their human forms. There were 2 men and 4 women. From their appearance, there was nothing to be picky about. The men were handsome and the women were beautiful. However, the expressions on these 6 people's faces were somewhat unpredictable. They seemed to be disdainful and dissatisfied. In short, the 6 of them put on more airs than the family masters of the 8 divine regions. After being invited into the inn by the Yao family master, they still turned a blind eye to the people present. Thanks originally, everyone felt that it was unfair. Even if you're 3 of the 4 great king divine beasts of the magical beasts, the people present here are basically the representatives of the various great powers of the divine realm. No matter how arrogant you are, no matter how noble your bloodline is, you shouldn't have left us here without even a word of greeting, right? However, when they saw that the master of the Ning family and the others, who were of higher status than them, were also ignored, everyone's heart instantly balanced out. Compared to the family heads of the 8 great divine regions, they were really nothing. He didn't even put Master Ning and the others in his eyes, so they were as small as dust. However, after their hearts were balanced, they began to sympathize with Master Ning and the others. After all, they were the masters of the 8 great divine regions. Their status among the humans in the divine realm was equivalent to the king of the 4 great kings of the magical beasts. However, at this moment, those few people were being looked down upon by a few unremarkable elders of the 4 great kings of the divine beasts. To the humans, this was definitely a great humiliation. Everyone suddenly felt indignant, and their impression of the 3 beast tribes took a sharp turn for the worse. However, no one dared to offend the 3 beast tribes. Therefore, no one was willing to stand out at this time, even though they were dissatisfied. However, everyone's red and undisguised sympathetic gazes made the head of the Chung family a little angry. Fuck, why was he looking at them with such a gaze? Wasn't it just those little beasts who ignored them? Fine, I'll ignore you. You guys are ignoring me, but I don't want to talk to you. In the family head of one of the 8 divine regions. I can't afford to lose face by sticking my warm face to your cold ass. Not to mention you guys, even if your king came, I wouldn't care. The master of the Chung family cursed in his heart. At the same time, his small eyes involuntarily drifted to Old Man Ning. Seeing that he didn't even blink, that his expression didn't change, and that he was still calmly drinking his tea, his heart was filled with admiration. As expected of his boss. Look at this aura, this style, I played it well. Moreover, he didn't treat himself as an outsider at all, and the banquet hadn't even started yet. He would eat it first. At this time, the cold dish in front of Master Ning had already been eaten by him several times, and it was even eaten with tea. It really didn't match, no matter how he looked at it. After some thought, Master Chung leaned closer to Master Ning and whispered in his ear, "Old Man Ning, Those little bastards didn't give us any face. Should we teach them a lesson? Don't. Hearing this, Master Ning raised his head and glanced at Master Chung, whose eyes were shining and whose face was full of expectation. What? The head of the Chung clan was puzzled. I won't do such a shameful thing. If it's their king, I might consider it. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. However, these little bastards were too detestable. In my opinion, they're clearly doing this on purpose. The head of the Chung family was still very angry. Have you ever heard of the Wheel of Fortune? If they look down on us, others will also look down on them. The master of the Ning family smiled mysteriously. What do you mean by that? The head of the Chung clan felt that his brain was unable to wrap itself around this. He actually didn't understand Old Man Ning's words. Chapter 2281, Beautiful Man 2. You'll know soon. Master Ning's smile became more and more mysterious, which seduced Master Cheng's heart like a kitten, making it itch. At this time, the 6 elders of the dragon, phoenix, and tiger tribes had already taken their seats under the guidance of the Yao family's head. Of course, they were sitting at the main table. The head of the Chung clan looked at their seats, and then looked at where he was sitting. Only now did he discover that Old Man Ning had actually chosen an unremarkable corner. You bastard! We should be sitting at that table. Take all the seats and make them have no seats. The head of the Chung clan said hatefully. Hearing Master Cheng's rather childish words, Master Ning couldn't help but laugh. You're still laughing? Let's see what kind of lousy place you've chosen. It's so remote, no wonder we're being ignored. The head of the Chung clan complained. Old Man Chung, you're wrong. We're being ignored, and it has nothing to do with our seats. The Yao clan had done this on purpose. I remember Shui once said that a person with true status and position is not determined by their position. It was that wherever they sat, that would be the main seat. Do you dare to say that if I wear a beggar's outfit, am no longer the head of the Ning family? The master of the Ning family said calmly. The head of the Chung family listened to his words and thought about it carefully. He also felt that it made sense. However, he still felt uncomfortable in his heart, but he was much calmer. Suddenly, the master of the Yin family, who had also chosen to sit with them, said softly, Sir Jiang Ning has come out. What do you think he will choose to sit? Do you even need to ask? Of course, I'm going to sit with Old Man Yao. The head of the Chung clan said matter-of-factly. Jiang Ning was different from them. Although Jiang Ning was only a divine emperor, no one dared to offend him. Besides, it seemed like Jiang Ning was on good terms with the old man of the Yao family, unlike the 7 of them, who had already become Old Man Yao's thorn in his side. Therefore, no one in the Yao family was in charge of hosting them at this banquet. Besides, they had been here for the longest time and had a good relationship with each other. In the eyes of the Yao family, they were already part of the same country. The 7 of them sat together without any fear. At this moment, Jiang Ning had just come down the stairs. The Yao family head had already introduced him to the elders of the dragon, phoenix, and tiger tribes. When the 6 of them saw Jiang Ning, they were unusually friendly. Their attitude was completely different from their cold attitude from before. They were even more friendly towards Jiang Ning than they were towards the Yao family head. Jiang Ning was also very respectful and kept on exchanging pleasantries with him. The Yao family head was ignored by both sides. Although this scene made the head of the Yao family a little angry, he didn't show it on his face. This was because he couldn't afford to offend either Jiang Ning or the 4 divine beast kings. So, even though he was angry, the head of the Yao family still had a perfect smile on his face. When both parties finally finished exchanging pleasantries, the head of the Yao family hurriedly invited Jiang Ning to take a seat. However, Jiang Ning didn't sit down immediately. Instead, he used his bright black eyes to look around the banquet hall, as if he was looking for someone. Mo Yin isn't here yet, Jiang Ning asked as he searched. I'm coming. A voice rang out from the stairs. Then, everyone saw Mo Yin and his beloved disciple walking elegantly towards the main table. As they passed by the other tables, many representatives from different forces greeted Mo Yin, and Mo Yin responded enthusiastically to them all. At the main table, Before Mo Yin could say anything, he heard Jiang Ning complain, "Why are you so late?" "Thanks, what's wrong?" Mo Yin raised his eyebrows and asked, as if he didn't understand Jiang Ning's meaning, his face full of question marks. "Other than you and your master, I don't know anyone else here. I'm so bored." Jiang Ning's words were rather resentful, but made everyone break out in cold sweat. So the representatives of the three legendary beasts and the Yao family head who had been exchanging warm greetings with him all this time had all been in vain. He actually treated them as strangers. This result made everyone want to laugh, but they didn't dare to. It was really hard to hold it in, and their shoulders were already trembling nonstop. When they heard this, the faces of the Yao family's head and the elders of the three great divine beasts all darkened. Mo Yan's forehead was also full of black lines, thinking, "Sir Jiang Ning, can you not ignore too many people at once? This would attract hatred." As a matter of fact, he had already seen many people's faces change. However, even if others didn't dare to laugh, the head of the Chung clan didn't care. Not only did he laugh heartily, but he also accidentally spat the tea in his mouth onto the face of the person at the opposite table. When that person saw that the person who had spat the tea on his face was the head of the Chung clan, he could only admit that he was unlucky. However, the head of the Chung clan was still rather polite and said, "I'm sorry." He gave the man an apologetic look and continued to smile. His laughter was too loud. In the process of his maniacal laughter, the entire hall suddenly fell silent. Almost everyone's eyes were focused on him, and for a moment, the head of the Chung clan became the focus of everyone's attention. "Damn it, are you done laughing?" Hearing this savage laughter, the head of the Yao family was enraged. "What's wrong? Is it illegal to laugh?" The Chung clan's patriarch rolled his eyes at the Yao clan's patriarch and said in an unpleasant tone, "It's not illegal." Hearing the laughter of the Chung clan's patriarch, my mood is much brighter. Jiang Ning didn't give the Yao family head a chance to speak and immediately interrupted. Since he had already said so, the head of the Yao family couldn't do anything other than glare at the head of the Chung family. After all, this banquet was very important to him. He couldn't ruin an important occasion where he was entertaining guests for an old man from the Chung family. With this thought, the head of the Yao family suppressed his anger, but in the next second, he was enraged again, because he saw Jiang Ning, Mo Yin, and Lung Xiaoyu walking towards the table where the master of the Ning family was sitting. The three of them even sat down. This fact caused the fury of the Yao family's head to instantly rise by countless levels, and a fierce light flickered in his eyes. If looks could kill, then the people at the table would probably have died 1,000 times over. As soon as Jiang Ning sat down, he began to chat with the head of the Ning family, who was sitting opposite him. He looked as if he had just seen his idol, which made the head of the Yao family burn with jealousy. The anger in his heart was almost out of control. Therefore, he didn't even think before angrily rushing over to the Ning family's head's table. He first glared at them fiercely, then put on a kind expression and said to Jiang Ning and Mo Yin, "Sirs, your seats are not here." "Not here? It's all right. Isn't there an empty seat here? I'm going to sit here." Jiang Ning said nonchalantly. Hearing Jiang Ning's words, the head of the Chung family couldn't help but pat him on the shoulder like brothers. "Mr. Jiang Ning, you have a good taste. Although this place is a bit remote, it's quiet. No one will disturb us. Therefore, you should just sit here." Chapter 2282, Beautiful Man 3, Hee hee. I think so too. I don't want to be surrounded by people like a monkey, so I'm more comfortable sitting here. Jiang Ning replied with a smile. That's the logic. The Chung family's head swept away his depression and was in a good mood. Then, he wanted to drink tea in place of wine and have a chat with Jiang Ning. Fortunately, the Ning family's head stopped him. Otherwise, these two people would have been full from drinking tea. The head of the Yao family was filled with hatred when he heard the conversation between the two. However, he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't force Jiang Ning to sit at the main table, could he? Then, he glanced at the 6 elders of the dragon kind, the phoenix kind, and the tiger kind, who were sitting at the main table with the same ugly expressions on their faces. At this moment, Elder Yao Jiao appeared and quickly walked over to whisper a few words into the Yao family head's ear. The Yao family head's face immediately revealed a happy expression. This was great. He finally had a way out. In fact, he was so angry that he wanted to leave just now, but he had no way out. If he left with his tail between his legs, these damn things would definitely make fun of him in the future. Therefore, he could only hold on. But now, little Jiao had brought him good news, so the Yao family head's mood was obviously much better. He smiled faintly and said, "Since Sir Jiangning and Sir Mo Yin like the quiet, then the two of you can sit here. There's an important guest outside. They'll go out to welcome him. Please excuse me." After saying that, the head of the Yao family strode out of the hall without even looking back. Seeing him leave in a hurry, the master of the Chung family was curious and asked in a low voice, "Which other distinguished guest will come? Could it be the Qilin clan?" "Impossible. I didn't hear the cries of the Qilin clan, so it shouldn't be them." Immediately after, the head of the Chung clan denied his own words. Seeing this, the master of the Ning family couldn't help sighing, and then said, "Can't you be quiet? Why are you so talkative? I'm just curious about who it is." The head of the Chung family felt very wronged. Woo! How could he watch the show without saying anything? It's the people from the Divine Master's estate. The master of the Ning family said helplessly as he glanced at the young wife-like master of the Chung family. "You used your divine sense?" The head of the Chung family asked in a low voice. It was very impolite to use divine sense on someone else's territory, and it was also a provocative behavior. Of course, unless you had extraordinary strength and could not be discovered by the master. If the master wanted to find trouble with you, the other party who used divine sense was simply not in the right. No, I didn't. Did this still require the use of divine sense? Most of the people who should be here are already here. Now, other than the people of the Divine Master's estate, I don't think anyone else will be treated as an honored guest by the Yao family's old thing. Master Ning said matter-of-factly. He had to admit that he was right. The Divine Master's estate had indeed sent someone. The ones who had come were not just any minor characters, but two of the three hierarch of the Divine Master's estate, Xia Yi and Huang Wei. Not long after, the head of the Yao family came in with two distinguished guests and directly invited them to the main table. When Master Chung saw this, he blinked and turned to look at Master Ning, saying, "Old man Ning, you've really guessed right." The master of the Ning clan smiled, but did not say anything. Xia Yi and Huang Wei, who had been invited to the main table, glanced at the people at the same table, and then glanced around. Without even greeting the 6 elders of the Dragon Clan, Phoenix Clan, and Tiger Clan, they went straight to the table where the master of the Ning Clan and the others were seated, greeted them, and exchanged pleasantries. When the head of the Yao family and the 6 elders saw this scene, they were so angry that they trembled. However, the head of the Yao family was still very glad because there were no more seats at that table. Even if Huang Wei and Xia Yi wanted to sit with them, they would not have the chance. Sure enough, after exchanging greetings with the master of the Ning family and the others, the two of them reluctantly returned to the main table. Is this retribution? The patriarch of the Chung family was in an even better mood when he saw the Yao family patriarch and the other beast elders' faces turn as black as ink, but they could only swallow their anger. This is called the Wheel of Fortune. Just a few little guys from the King Divine Beast clan. Did they really think that they were great? If it wasn't for the fact that we have to avoid suspicion in public, do you think I would let them go? The master of the Ning family said coldly. I knew it. How could you not be angry? Hearing this, the master of the Chung family smiled. Old man Ning was much nobler than him. It seemed that he had to learn more from him. Old man Chung, even if you're angry, you have to pay attention to your status, understand? The master of the Ning family reminded. I know. The patriarch of the Chung clan hurriedly replied like an obedient baby. He knew in his heart that this was definitely Old Man Ning's intention to beat him by surprise. When he thought of this, he somewhat sympathized with the few Beast Clan elders. Of all people, he had to put on airs in front of them. Wasn't he asking for it? The head of the Chung family was a little excited. Sympathy was sympathy, but he also liked to do things like beating people up. When the time came, he would have to be counted in. Just as the head of the Chung family was letting his thoughts run wild, the head of the Yao family, who wasn't in a good mood, had already swiftly announced the start of the banquet. Thanks as the dishes were served one by one, the Chung clan's patriarch's frown deepened. Old man Ning, is this all he's giving us? Aren't these dishes a little too ordinary? The head of the Chung clan said with a look of disdain. That's good enough. After all, we're not sitting at the main table. The master of the Ning family said calmly. That's true, but I guess the Yao family really doesn't have much money left. The head of the Chung clan laughed evilly. That's normal. Master Ning replied with a smile, but in his heart, he was thinking, why isn't Shuer here yet? At the same time, Lung Ruoxue, who was at the bottom of the cliff, sneezed loudly. Someone's talking about me. Lung Ruoxue, who was standing beside the 7 crystal flower, said with certainty. It should be someone who's getting impatient. The first elder said with an evil smile. Just now, they had heard quite a few beast roars and had already guessed that it was the beast clan. However, this was the most critical moment for the 7 crystal flower to recover. Hence, everyone chose to remain at the bottom of the cliff and wait for the 7 crystal flower to recover. This was also the reason why Lung Ruoxue had come out of the God Pagoda with evildoer Jeet Song. During this period of time, the 7 crystal flower had grown well after being nourished by countless nutrient fluids. Its vitality had also mostly recovered, and now everyone was looking forward to the 7 crystal flower's transformation. At this moment, the 7 crystal flower's huge petals, except for the outermost few that were still withered, were as bright and eye-catching as when they first bloomed. On the dark red petals, there were a few drops of beautiful and clear dew. Anyone who saw it would know that this flower was very fresh. However, the 7 crystal flower's petals were now closed, forming a huge flower bud. Suddenly, the flower bud trembled a few times before it quieted down. Not long after, the petals began to tremble again. Then, everyone felt the surrounding spiritual energy rapidly surge in from all directions and envelop the huge 7 crystal flower. After a long time, the spiritual energy was completely absorbed by the 7 crystal flower. The 7 crystal flower in everyone's eyes became even more dazzling and soul-stirring. In an instant, the dazzling 7 crystal flower suddenly disappeared before everyone's eyes, and in its place was an extremely handsome man, like a banished immortal that no one could take their eyes off. He was dressed in dark red clothes, his dark golden eyes shimmering with light, and his skin was as perfect as morning dew. He was definitely a man who could make most women feel inferior. And this man's appearance was almost on par with the evildoer. However, they were used to seeing demonic looks, so they were used to this man's stunning appearance. What made them most dumbfounded was the man's identity. You, don't tell us that you're the 7 crystal flower. The great elder was the first to stammer when he saw this stunningly beautiful man in front of him. Although he knew that the spirits of heavenly materials and earthly treasures also had genders, it was a little unacceptable that such a beautiful flower turned out to be a man after taking human form. Right? I am. Seeing everyone's dumbfounded expression, the 7 crystal flower could not help but smile evilly. These days, although he was unable to transform due to his Bodhi's condition, as his consciousness slowly recovered, he was already very familiar with these humans. Therefore, he was still very happy to see them dumbfounded. He couldn't deny that he had been waiting to see this shocking scene for a long time. Ugh, the crowd didn't know how to describe their feelings. Shocked? Not yet. Surprised? A little more than that. Seeing the 7 crystal flower, everyone was at a loss. Fortunately, the surprised little fox finally reacted at this time and directly pounced into the arms of the 7 crystals flower. It bawled and sobbed, relieving the embarrassment in their hearts. Seeing everyone let out a sigh of relief, Azure couldn't help but grin. Then he said to the 7 crystal flower, Xiao Hua, Do you still remember me? Little flower. When everyone heard these two words, they felt a chill run down their spines. Their foreheads were all filled with black lines, and these two words directly made the 7 crystal flowers' face darken. Don't call me little flower? Chi ran. The veins on the 7 crystal flowers' forehead throbbed as it spoke through gritted teeth. But I still think that Xiaohua is more suitable for you. How about I call you male flower? And Fog was a female flower? You two can make a perfect pair. It's decided. Azure said, completely ignoring the 7 crystal flowers' darkening expression. Who made this decision with you? You bastard. Don't mention that bitch in front of me. You hear me? Blue's words infuriated the self-proclaimed 7-dye flower. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't defeat Blue, he would have rushed over and beat the crap out of this fellow who had touched a sore spot. But now, he could only use his fire-breathing eyes to glare at Azure. Chapter 2283. The Bird That Stands Out. 1. I didn't hear you. You don't want me to mention it, so I won't mention it? How embarrassing would that be? Besides, your relationship back then was not ordinary. At that time, I was very, very envious of you two. Song's smile was extremely ambiguous. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but prick up their ears, afraid that they would accidentally reveal a sentence or two. Therefore, they listened especially carefully. As soon as Song's words fell, the word dick appeared in everyone's mind. The expression on their faces became ambiguous. Even Lung Ruoxue didn't expect that this beautiful flower man had an unusual relationship with Fog. Did she save an enemy for herself by spending so much effort to save him? Lung Ruoxue could not help but mutter to herself. One had to know that matters of the heart were very difficult to say. Don't look at how this beautiful man gritted his teeth when Song mentioned Rhyme Ice, but from his appearance, it was clear that his love had turned into hatred. This situation was often the most dangerous, because once the Fog showed goodwill, the two were likely to rekindle their old feelings. Hence, Lung Ruoxue was in a dilemma. However, she was a person who would never regret her actions. Moreover, both Song and Qingju had agreed for her to save this flower. Therefore, she believed that Song and Qingju would not let her work for nothing. With this thought in mind, she calmed down. Girl, your worry is unnecessary. This guy and Wu Yin are not what you think. Sensing Lung Ruoxue's thoughts, Azure couldn't help but transmit his voice. What? Did she misunderstand? Lung Ruoxue was speechless when she heard Song's words. She didn't want to misunderstand. It was clear that Song had misled her, because looking at everyone's expressions, they must have thought the same. Rhyme Ice was the earliest plant that appeared in the divine world. This little flower appeared slightly later than Rhyme Ice. Therefore, Rhyme Ice has always taken care of it. The two of them were once as close as siblings. However, Rhyme Ice is a very realistic person. She would not do anything that would not benefit her. Rhyme Ice approached it for her own purpose. It was for the scarce, chaotic, spiritual energy in the body of this stupid flower. In the end, Rhyme Ice obtained this stupid flower, and it became what you all see now. Azure explained with a smile. I see. Hearing Song's explanation, Lung Ruoxue understood. At the same time, she was also thinking that if this beautiful man could still forgive that woman, Fog, with such deep hatred, then this fellow could be described as a saint. She hoped that this fellow would not disappoint her. After all, she didn't want to save an ungrateful person. Lung Ruoxue was conversing with Song in secret. At this moment, Hua Mainen's voice rang in her ears. The voice was accompanied by the sound of grinding teeth. Who has an unusual relationship with that bitch? Who is it? Ran was furious. Those things were the biggest humiliation in her heart. She wanted to forget about it long ago, but this damn cat kept bringing it up. How detestable. Of course it's you. My girl and Fog Ice have a great enmity. Azure said on purpose. After hearing the first half of the sentence, Ran was about to flare up when she suddenly heard the second half. Then, her gaze shifted from Song to Lung Ruoxue, and she said with uncertainty, Do you have a grudge against Wu Cheng? Yes. The mist ripple kill my master. Lung Roashua spoke bluntly, suddenly understanding Song's motive. Who is your master? Lung Roakshu's words piqued Qi Ran's curiosity. To be able to meet a benefactor who had a grudge against Wu Jing, he temporarily put aside his anger towards Song and focused on asking Lung Roashua. My master is you. The people of the divine realm all call him the divine master. Lung Roashua said indifferently. Initially, when Qi Ran heard the word you, she did not have much of a reaction. She was still wondering who this person was. However, when she heard the word divine master, her eyes widened in shock, and she said in disbelief, Master Yu is your master? Oh my God, he had actually met Master Yu's disciple. Thanks then, Qi Ran's eyes widened even more. She stuttered, You just said that Wooly, that bitch, kill Master Yu? Master Yu has already fallen? After saying this, Qi Ran's entire body trembled as if she had thought of something. Her face turned even paler. Yes, Master has been dead for a long time. Lung Roashua replied honestly. How is this possible? How could Master Yu be killed by that bitch, Wu Xiao? No, this was impossible. You must have made a mistake. Master Yu will not die. I won T. Qi Ran suddenly said, a little excited. It's true. Im Dong Fong Yue, Master Yes subordinate. I can vouch for the young master's words. At this moment, Dong Fong Yu spoke. The young master he was referring to was Lung Ruoxue. This was something that they had agreed upon. In front of outsiders, they would all address Lung Ruoxue as young master to show respect. I've heard of you, Qi Ran said as she slowly calmed down and looked deeply at Dong Fangyu. Hearing this, Dong Fangyu did not say anything else. Lung Ruoxue continued his conversation. The mist has killed my master. I will take revenge for my master. After she said that, her beautiful eyes swept over Qi Ran's body. Qi Ran's heart could not help but tremble. Count me in, Qi Ran said softly after a long time. Are you sure? Lung Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes and asked calmly. Although this fellow was a flower that could nurture top-grade crystals, Lung Ruoxue could tell that this fellow's abilities were definitely not weak. It was just that he was not at his peak yet. Hence, she was really looking forward to seeing what this flower would look like when it was at its peak. More importantly, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. This guy has a grudge against me, so he'll feel that I didn't save the wrong person. Otherwise, he'll be depressed to death if I let him off the hook. And what Azure had said just now was probably to remind him and Qi Ran. As for Qi Ran's reaction, Azure should be satisfied, right? Actually, Lung Ruoxue's guess on this matter wasn't perfectly accurate. Song knew that Lung Ruoxue wouldn't force Qi Ran to acknowledge him as her master. Qi Ran was a proud person. Although Lung Ruoxue had saved him, it would be a little difficult for him to acknowledge her as his master. So he decided to be the bad guy and give Song a warning while it was at it. When 7 Ran decided to join the team and avenge that idiot Yu, Azure knew that this was the best that 7 Ran could do at the moment. So, even though he was a little dissatisfied, he knew that this was the only way out for now. It was all because that little flower couldn't be forced. However, this was also good because it would sometimes hate the flower. If the little flower recognized Neo as its master, it would not be able to teach it a lesson without any scruples. Thinking of this, Azure couldn't help but reveal a smug smile. His big, black, and bright eyes would even glance at Chiron from time to time, scaring Chiron so much that her heart trembled for no reason. Chapter 2284. The bird that stands out too. What was this guy trying to do? You bastard. Don't look at me like I'm your prey, okay? Qi Ran felt a sense of danger and could not help but lean closer to Lung Ruoxue. Then, she grabbed Lung Ruoxue's arm and said, To express my gratitude to my savior, I have a lot of good things to give you. After saying that, Qi Ran immediately pulled Lung Ruoxue along and ran away. She was so angry that she glared at her. Damn it, how dare that flower? The demon's face darkened, but he didn't chase after her. Hee, that flower was originally a lecherous person. What would he not dare to do? Azure laughed evilly and said matter-of-factly, A lecherous person? Hearing these words, everyone was once again shocked. They all looked at Song and thought, does this person know what kind of effect his words would have? It would harm that beautiful man. Everyone thought to themselves with sympathy. Just as this thought appeared in their minds, they saw the evildoer's face turn even darker. Then, a white light flashed in front of everyone, and the evildoer disappeared. AI. Everyone sighed, silently praying for Hua Meinan in their hearts. They hoped that he would not do anything that could not be undone. Otherwise, that demonic man would probably make him return to his previous state. No, it might even be worse than before. When the three of them were not around, everyone's thoughts ran wild. When they saw that Chiron had returned in one piece, it was as if grass had grown in everyone's hearts. The fire of gossip began to burn. He was actually fine. Everyone was shocked. Chiron felt depressed when she received everyone's sympathetic and curious gazes. What was going on? He had only left for a short while, and these people's expressions had changed from surprise to sympathy. Chiron couldn't understand. He didn't do anything he shouldn't have. Of course, he would never have thought that his kind and pure self would be labeled as a lecherous man by a certain beast. If he knew, he would definitely cry out that he was wronged. This was basically the rhythm of snow in June. Unfortunately, Chiron knew nothing about it. Although Lung Ruoshua noticed that something was amiss, she was smart enough not to ask. At this moment, Lung Ruoshua received a voice transmission from her godfather asking why they were not here yet. So, she put this matter to the back of her mind for the time being. As for how Chiron got injured and how she got so badly injured, she would ask him again when there was a chance in the future. In truth, even if she did not ask, she could already tell from San's words that Chiron's injury had something to do with rime ice. Following that, Lung Ruoshua instructed everyone to collect the top-grade crystals on the walls because they had already received their reward. When everyone heard this, they quickly moved. Very quickly, the top-grade crystals on the wall were all collected by everyone. Chiron was shocked to see this. With his mouth half open, he stared at the nimble crowd. Now he finally knew what a locust swarm was. The people in front of him were unbelievably quick. He couldn't help but look at the bare wall again. He didn't know what to feel in his heart, but it was definitely not heartache. After all, those Jingshi were not of much use to him. Thanks when Lung Ruoshua saw his expression, she could not help but tease. What's wrong? You can't bear to? No. These crystals are useless to me. Chiron quickly said as she wiped the cold sweat off her forehead without batting an eyelid. Could he say that these Jingshi were just trash in his eyes? Seeing how excited everyone was, he knew that he had to keep his words to himself. Otherwise, it would definitely cause everyone to be angry. Then why do you have such an expression? Lung Ruoshua asked in amusement. I'm just too shocked by the speed at which you people do things. It's true. Chiron promised. She even raised a hand and made an oath. Time is money, Lung Ruoshua said matter-of-factly, then split the crystal stones into 3 portions, along with 2 storage rings, and passed them to Shinua and Luiwei. The 2 of them looked at the ring, then at Lung Ruoshua, their faces full of question marks. This is Hua Meinan's reward for us. I've split it into 3. This is yours. Lung Ruoshua explained. We don't need it. The 2 of them hurriedly declined. You can have it all. If we need it, we'll ask you for it. Luiwei added with a smile. On the other hand, Shinua kept nodding her head at the side, indicating that she agreed with what he said. Hearing their words, Lung Ruoshua couldn't help but curse in her heart. Old fox. After that, he didn't force them to take the items and kept them. In fact, she had already known that this would be the result. However, she had to give what she should give. Whether she wanted it or not was their problem. After doing all this, Lung Ruoshua and the others planned to leave the bottom of the cliff. Who knew that Chiron would want to follow them? When Lung Ruoshua heard Chiron's words, she said in a speechless manner, "If you leave, what will happen to these little guys?" She pointed at the pitiful little fox with tears in her eyes. This little thing was about to cry. More importantly, the poisonous fog at the bottom of the cliff had suddenly reduced a lot after Chiron recovered. As such, it was much easier for outsiders to reach the bottom of the cliff. That was why she was worried about the safety of the little fox and the other sprites. They naturally left with me, Chi-Ran said matter-of-factly. Can you take them away? Lung Ruoxue was very surprised. This was rather unexpected. Of course. I have my own space to take care of them, Chi-Ran said with a smile. The little fox, who was initially in a daze, not only stopped crying after hearing this, but she also revealed a shy smile. If that's the case, then take them and leave with us. When Lung Ruoxue heard this, she agreed immediately. She had long heard that one could have their own world after becoming a reverent god-level cultivator. In that case, didn't that mean that this little flower had the power of a reverent god? However, as far as she knew, the reverent god's world was fixed in a certain place and could not be carried around at all. According to this logic, this little flower did have some unique abilities. No wonder these plants called it ancestor. In just a few short seconds, Lung Ruoxue's imagination ran wild again. At the same time, two chuckling sounds could be heard in her head. However, she intentionally ignored them. Chi-Ran moved very quickly. With a slight wave of her hand, the little fox and the other beasts immediately disappeared. With another wave of her hand, the beautiful scenery at the bottom of the cliff became bare. It was as if it was winter and the leaves had dried up. Then, everyone left the bottom of the cliff together. At the same time, the poisonous fog at the bottom of the cliff slowly dispersed. After they left the cliff, Xiaohua and the rest of the beasts volunteered to take the lead and headed towards the Yao family's main city. Lung Ruoxue and the rest followed behind them unhurriedly. Of course, when Xiaohua and the other snakes left, there was one or several people wrapped around their tails. At this time, those people were basically unconscious. Even if one or two of them had some consciousness, they were also dizzy from the unstable bumps of the snakes. Chapter 2285, The Bird That Stands Out, 3. Upon seeing this, Chi-Ran was shocked again. What was going on? Why was it that after he woke up, he found that many things were out of his expectations? Or could it be that he had missed too many people, things while he was unconscious? So he had become a little white? This possibility made Chi-Ran deeply worried. Back then, not many people would know about the 7 crystal flower. However, when the name Chi-Ran was mentioned, everyone would know about it. That was why he was once a famous person. But now, when he thought about how Lung Ruoxue and the others did not react to his name, he felt even more sorrowful. Seeing Chi-Ran's dumbfounded expression, the first elder, who was the closest to her, patted her on the shoulder and explained, "Those people are our enemies. Lil, Fire took them to ask for living expenses." As he explained, the first elder's heart was filled with sympathy for Chi-Ran. AI, poor little flower. After being in a coma for so many years, to wake up to find that their world had changed, no one would be able to accept this. Therefore, the great elder decided to brainwash old Gu as soon as possible. At the very least, he had to let him adapt to their life, their rhythm, and that. "Oh, are we poor?" Chi-Ran couldn't help but ask curiously after hearing First Elder's words. "We're not poor. However, there was no reason to raise them for free, right? Therefore, we can't lose a single cent," the great elder said. Chiron nodded, even though she still didn't quite understand. The rest of the time became the time for the great elder to answer 100,000 questions about Chi-Ran. If the great elder couldn't answer, Dongfeng Lin and the others would take over. So, along the way, Lung Ruoxue listened to Chi-Ran's endless questions. Just like that, Lung Ruoxue and the others arrive at the Yao family's main city in the midst of Chi-Ran's endless questions. As they had been walking on the small path and had not passed by the city, when Chi-Ran saw the tall city gate of the Yao family's main city, she could not help but exclaim, "I can't believe there's a city here." In the past, this place was still a stinking ditch. First Elder and the others couldn't help but laugh when they heard this. Chi-Ran was really too cute. Although they had been stumped by Chi-Ran's questions on the way here, They were still happy to be able to impart new knowledge to old Gu, who had been in a coma for hundreds of thousands of years. At least, under their careful education, Chiron was slowly growing up. It could also be said that the pure and innocent Ran would never return. It wouldn't take long for him to be led astray by everyone. But now he was still innocent. Therefore, everyone cherished his current appearance. What's wrong? Did I say anything wrong? Ran asked in confusion when she heard their laughter. You're right. However, this place isn't that fragrant right now, and our enemy is the master of this divine territory. The first elder laughed evilly. If that's the case, then let's help them restore this place to a stinking ditch. Ran suddenly said. Everyone who heard her was stunned. Oh my God, could it be that the current Ran had been led astray? It was too terrifying. It was no wonder people said that it was difficult to learn good things, but it only took one day to learn bad things. Clearly, it was only a matter of time before she became bad. Looking at everyone's stunned and shocked expressions, Ran said proudly, are you frightened by me? Actually, I was just joking. I'm such an innocent child. How could I do such a thing? If there's anything to do, it should be you guys. Everyone was dumbfounded. They were wrong. Ran was definitely not an innocent child. The filling inside her was also black. However, he did not show it often. Seeing that everyone was looking at her in a daze, ran to Lung Roashue again. Like a puppy, she stared at Lung Roashue with her wet, dark golden eyes and asked without blinking, am I right? That makes sense. However, you can't treat your companions as your helpers. So, you have to do your part. Lung Roashue said with a smile. Of course, but my talent is very simple. I can only use poison. Ran said, a little depressed. You're poisonous too? His words surprised Lung Roashue. She could not help but size Ran up. Was this fellow really poisonous? Why couldn't she tell? Of course I do. Moreover, my poison is almost on par with that slut Wu Luan's. Otherwise, after I was poisoned that year, how could I have waited until now for you to save me? Ran said matter-of-factly. Ran's words piqued Lung Roashue's interest. She then extended her fair hand and said with a smile, Give me some poison to use. Thanks, what do you want poison for? Lung Roashue's request made Ran's fragile little heart beat wildly. She didn't know why, but she suddenly had a bad feeling. She kept feeling that someone was going to be in trouble. Whoa, why did this happen? Ran was conflicted. Give me some poison to use. Lung Roashue glanced at Ran, who was suddenly sad about the spring and autumn, and repeated, You can't use poison to harm people. Ran reminded Lung Roashue worriedly, but she still handed her a transparent, glass-like bottle. Don't worry. I didn't even harm people. Lung Roashue promised and kept the small bottle into her bracelet. The group continued to move forward. However, before they could reach the inn where the master of the Ning family was, they were blocked by a sea of people in front of them. Of course, those people were not blocking them on purpose. The crowd in front of them seemed to be attracted by something. The great elder was curious. He patted the shoulder of the person in front of him and asked in a low voice, Friend, what's going on in front? Why is there a traffic jam? It's so lively up ahead. The Yao family's elders are currently being hung in the air by a bunch of snakes, waiting for the Yao family head to pay for their living expenses. That person informed them with great enthusiasm. Even the great elder felt that his enthusiasm was a little too much. Then, first elder couldn't help but ask, You dare to watch the Yao family's show in the Yao family's divine territory? Aren't you afraid that the Yao family will come after you later? Tisk. The law was not responsible. There's so many of us who would the Yao family remember. Besides, the Yao family doesn't have the time to care about us. They're already panicking, The man became more and more excited as he spoke, and in the end, he even laughed in a very wretched manner. He did not forget to remind the great elder, This is a rare opportunity. Don't miss it. Thank you. We won't miss this. The great elder couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. He felt some sympathy for the old man of the Yao family. However, These people's thoughts were right. They didn't add insult to injury. They only saw the Yao family as a joke. So what did it matter? Would the old man of the Yao family dare to silence them? If that was the case, then Old Man Yao would have to find a way to exterminate all the forces present today. Otherwise, the matter of the Yao family would not be able to be concealed. At the thought of this, First Elder turned to Lung Roashua and whispered, "Girl, the road ahead is blocked. What do we do now? Girl, don't be afraid. He'll take you there. I promise he'll find you a good position." Azure suddenly promised. In the next second, the group had already appeared outside the inn. At this moment, the guests who were attending the banquet in the inn were all attracted by the incident created by Xiaohua. Lung Ruoxue and the others were standing on the side where the Ning family's master and the rest were. It was indeed a good angle. However, their position was slightly further back, and the gazes of the people present were all attracted by the black mass of snakes in the sky and the Yao family elders. Therefore, almost no one noticed them. However, Lung Ruoxue still sent a voice transmission to Master Ning and told her godfather where she was. Hearing this, Master Ning felt a little more at ease. In reality, when he saw these snakes, the master of the Ning family knew that his precious daughter had arrived. Now that he had received Lung Ruoxue's voice transmission, he was able to watch the Yao family make a fool of themselves in peace. Suddenly, the master of the Ning family felt his sleeve being pulled. He looked down and saw Old Man Chung looking at him with a smirk. He then whispered, "Old Man Ning, do you think Old Man Yao will ask us for help this time?" He was really curious. "I won tea. There are so many helpers today. He won't use us." The head of the Ning family glanced at the ashen face of the head of the Yao family, which was gradually turning black, and said with great certainty, "AI, that's a pity." The head of the Chung family couldn't help but sigh. What a good opportunity to make money. It didn't belong to them. What's there to pity? How much money do you think the Yao family still has? The master of the Ning family laughed evilly. That's true." Hearing this, the head of the Chung family immediately calmed down. Recently, the Yao family had lost a lot of money, so they probably didn't have much left. However, what he didn't expect was that some of the thugs didn't need money at all. They didn't even need the Yao family head's request and volunteered to stand up for the Yao family. "Yao family head, I'll help you teach these stupid snakes a lesson. You don't have any objections, right?" As a matter of fact, just as the head of the Chung family had calmed down, an extremely beautiful woman in her early 30s had already implored the head of the Yao family with a cold face. Hearing this, the head of the Chung clan was very angry. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. "Damn old witch. Can't you just calm down for a while? Must it be this one?" The woman who had spoken was one of the two elders from the Feng clan. In truth, it wasn't because she had a good relationship with the head of the Yao family that she wanted to stand up for him. It was because she had always been brooding over the treatment she had received before, and she had long been suppressing her anger. However, she couldn't vent her anger on the person who had annoyed her, so she could only use these uninvited snakes as her punching bags. Chapter 2286. Face Slapping 1. When the head of the Yao family heard these words, he couldn't ask for more. Wasn't this like getting a pillow for sleeping? How stupid would he be if he refused such a good deal? Besides, he was planning to find someone to help. With someone volunteering, not only did he save time, but he also saved money. However, the head of the Yao family still pretended to hesitate and said with an embarrassed face, "Elder Qin, how can I accept this?" Hearing this, the head of the Chung clan was so disgusted that he wanted to vomit. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. "Damn old man, why are you pretending?" The more he looked at this old man, the more he disliked him. He clearly wanted someone to help him, but he put on such a deadpan face. Who was he showing it to? As for the woman who was called Elder Qin, she said indifferently, "What's there to be embarrassed about? The Yao family head sincerely invited us to be his guests. Now that the Yao family head is in trouble, it's only natural that we lend a hand. Take it for granted, my ass. Wasn't this like a bird taking a mouse to meddle in other people's business?" The head of the Chung family continued to curse in his heart. He really couldn't stand these two people who were so arrogant. However, These two people had the intention of looking at green beans and liking each other. This made him even more uncomfortable. At the thought of this, the head of the Chung clan couldn't help but say, "Elder Qin, old man Yao already said that you don't need to help, so why are you still so eager? With your strength, I think it's better for you to not reach out your hand. Even this old man, Shi Yao, can't beat him. You'll just be throwing your life away if you go." The patriarch of the Chung clan was very kind, so he had kindly reminded Elder Qin of the Feng clan. Furthermore, he had spoken the truth, but unfortunately, this truth caused Elder Qin and Patriarch Yao's faces to immediately darken. The two of them were furious. The other was to anger the head of the Chung family for looking down on her. Wasn't it just a few snakes? What couldn't he beat? In Elder Qin's heart, the bloodline of the Phoenix clan was supreme. Therefore, she was full of confidence that as long as she used her bloodline to suppress them, these snakes would have to obediently kneel in front of her and bow their heads to listen to her orders. Therefore, she was extremely disgusted with the kind advice of the Chung family head. Where's the head of the Yao family? He was angry that the old thing from the Chung family had ruined his good thing. Fuck, I can't afford to hire you, but someone is willing to take the initiative to help, and you actually want to destroy it. What kind of person are you? The more the head of the Yao family thought about it, the angrier he became. If it wasn't for the fact that the occasion wasn't right, he would have taught this old man a harsh lesson. However, he was still angry in his heart. He also knew that he couldn't open his mouth to argue with the Chung clan's damned old man right now. Otherwise, it would cause the majority of people to feel disgusted. Thus, after thinking for a moment, he put on a pitiful appearance and said to Elder Qin with a difficult expression, "Elder Qin, Elder Cheng's words aren't without reason. You see, of course, this wasn't the patriarch's true thoughts, but rather his intention to play hard to get. He deliberately only said half of the sentence, and the latter half was left to Elder Qin to imagine. As expected, Elder Qin's face immediately darkened as soon as Patriarch Yao finished speaking. She unhappily said, "Patriarch Yao, are you looking down on me? Oomph, it's just a few little snakes, I don't care about them." When Elder Qin said this, the haughty aura in his eyes was enough to make people look up to him. No, it wasn't he. How could I look down on Elder Qin? I just think that the Chung family head's words make sense. I've fought with these snakes before, and they are indeed powerful. That's why I wanted to remind Elder Qin. As soon as Elder Qin finished speaking, the Yao family's patriarch immediately explained eagerly, as if he was afraid that she would misunderstand. Thanks hearing this, Elder Qin's expression became much better. Then, he raised his aura and said sternly, after hearing what Patriarch Yao said, "I'm even more interested in competing with these little snakes." After saying that, Elder Qin didn't wait for the Yao family head's reaction and flew straight into the sky with a swoosh and looked at those snakes. Immediately after, Elder Qin transformed back into her original form. In an instant, a huge fiery red phoenix appeared in the sky and circled around. The phoenix's body was burning with scorching flames, and the moisture in the air was instantly sucked dry. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but take a few steps back. In their hearts, they were all complaining in unison. It was really too hot. The temperature was not low to begin with, and now that the old phoenix had done this, they couldn't stand it anymore. However, seeing this scene, the head of the Yao family smiled in his heart. This phoenix was really smart. The patriarch of the Yao family was extremely pleased with himself. He couldn't help but glance at the other 5 elders from the Phoenix race, White Tiger race, and Dragon race from the corner of his eyes. If they were as proactive as Elder Qin, how great would that be? However, he naturally couldn't take the initiative to say this. In his words, the beast race were all proud. How could they be easily controlled by humans? But the truth was that the Yao family didn't have much money and couldn't afford to bleed. Therefore, he could only open the net and wait for these people to jump in. Quickly come to the internet. Hurry up and be his free hatchet man. The head of the Yao family was shouting in his heart, and the excitement on his face was almost impossible to hide. Old Man Ning, look at how Old Man Yao got his way. not used to the pretentious look of the Yao family head. The Chung family head complained to the Ning family head in a low voice with a look of disdain. Calm down. Let's just watch the battle. Who cares who did it? The master of the Ning family said calmly. In fact, he was well aware that no matter who helped the old man of the Yao family, they would not have a good end. At this moment, Elder Qin, who had transformed into his true form and soared in the sky a few times, was also almost done with his smugness. Then, it immediately released its own pressure, wanted to use this to trample these tiny snake-type beasts under its feet. Among beasts, sometimes what was important was not strength, but the pressure of the bloodline. Among beasts of the same level, there was no doubt that the one with the noblest bloodline would win. If the difference between the two wasn't too big, the one with the noblest bloodline could rely on the suppression of the bloodline to win, even if it was weaker. Of course, the probability of this was only about 50%. However, this 50% was enough for the beasts with noble bloodlines. If the difference between the two was too great, the one with the noble bloodline might not be able to cause much damage to the other party, but it would still affect the other's heart. Moreover, with their background and status, there were not many beasts who dared to provoke them. Most of the time, many beast clans would give face to the four divine beast kings and not dare to offend them easily. Otherwise, those unlucky beasts would probably receive the revenge of the entire clan. None of the beast tribes could bear such a result. It's precisely because he knows this that Elder Qin doesn't take the snakes in front of him seriously. Moreover, he's used to being arrogant, so he sees these snakes as ants. Chapter 2287. Face Slapping 2. Under its pressure, many of the snakes revealed an indescribable, painful expression. Cold sweat trickled down their bodies, and their bodies even trembled slightly. Seeing this, Elder Qin became more and more proud. However, after observing for a while, he gloomily discovered that although these snakes were afraid, they didn't retreat. This isn't right. It shouldn't be. This result was completely out of Elder Qin's expectations. Therefore, the impatient Elder Qin was somewhat unsettled and repeatedly increased his pressure. After a while, Elder Qin heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that the snakes finally showed fear. But the next second, it was dumbfounded again. That was because the giant red snake that had been looking at it coldly glanced at it disdainfully. Without saying a word, it protected the snakes under its wings. The red transparent film that protected the snakes stung Elder Qin's eyes. He was furious. Fuck, how did this snake do it? He was actually not afraid of its pressure. In addition, was this a barrier? This was the first time it had seen a red barrier. Moreover, after the group of snakes had been gathered under the wings of the giant red snake, their expressions had clearly become more cheerful. This fact made it very unhappy. Damn it, I won't let you off. Elder Qin was furious. The consequences were severe. Everyone could only see a ball of fire pouncing towards the giant red snake. Then the ball of fire and the giant red snake entangled together. Soon, the giant red snake was surrounded by the scorching flames. The giant red snake's voice could be heard from the flames from time to time. Fuck, I'm so hot. Upon hearing this, everyone was speechless. They thought to themselves, it would be strange if they weren't hot. The Phoenix clan won with fire. This fire was their greatest trump card. If the temperature was normal, the Phoenix clan would not have been able to dominate the divine realm for so many years. With the mentality of watching a show, everyone felt a lot of sympathy for the giant red snake. On the other hand, the head of the Chung clan was truly worried about the huge red snake. After all, they had a very pleasant deal before. This snake had given him more face than Old Man Yao. Therefore, whether it was emotionally or rationally, he did not wish for these snakes to lose. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too easy for Old Man Yao? That was something he did not want to see. Therefore, he did not hesitate to curse the old witch to lose. Not long after this thought appeared in his mind, everyone saw countless fiery red meteors falling from the sky. This scene left everyone puzzled. It's broad daylight. Why is there a meteor shower? With this doubt, everyone continued to watch the battle. At this moment, The great elder beside Lung Ruashu tugged at her sleeve and could not help but ask, "The Phoenix clan's flame is very powerful. Will Xiaohua be all right? Can it withstand it?" Don't worry. Xiaohua will be fine." Lung Ruashue gave First Elder a consoling look, and First Elder finally felt at ease. After that, everyone couldn't help but whisper to each other because the meteor shower was increasing in number, especially the area where the huge flame was the densest. From time to time, it would be accompanied by a few painful screams. Seeing this, everyone finally understood that the meteor shower had come from the flame. Ugh, what was this situation? Thanks, everyone's curiosity was piqued, and they stared at the fire even more intently. After a long time, the people present saw that the huge flame in the sky had finally been extinguished. A huge white object fell from the sky and fell to the ground. Everyone's attention was immediately attracted. With one look, everyone couldn't help but gasp. Wasn't this a giant bird? Elder Qin? The bird was bald from head to toe. Its beautiful feathers that were burning with flames had long disappeared without a trace. However, the phoenix's appearance could still be seen. At this time, the phoenix's eyes were closed and it lay motionless on the ground. Such a scene stunned everyone present. For a long time, they couldn't react. Even the three families that were King Divine Beasts were stunned on the spot because they had received a big shock. By the time they reacted, the pitiful Elder Qin had already been seen by the people present. As for the giant red snake, it was still hovering in the sky, and scathed, showing off its might. Damn it! Zayaha's eye-piercing action made the other elder of the Phoenix clan gnash his teeth in hatred. Although her relationship with Elder Qin wasn't that harmonious, she couldn't tolerate the fact that Elder Qin had disgraced the entire Phoenix clan. Therefore, without even thinking, she immediately rushed into the sky and confronted Lil Fire. "How dare you attack an elder of my Phoenix clan?" The elder of the Phoenix clan narrowed his phoenix eyes and said coldly, "Little Firebird, are you shooting after the horse? You're only saying this now that I've already made my move. Is there any use?" Lil Fire coldly said as it lightly glanced at the human-shaped phoenix in front of it. It was too lazy to even lift its eyelids. Don't quibble. Just wait for the revenge of my Phoenix clan." The Phoenix race's elder spoke in a vicious tone. After that, she turned to the four elders of the White Tiger race and Dragon race. "Why aren't you guys coming to help? Are you going to watch us four King Divine Beast clans get bullied?" Upon hearing these words, and seeing how the Phoenix elder had once again elevated the matter to the level of their own race, the four elders from the White Tiger race and Dragon race who initially didn't want to step out could only brace themselves and step out from the crowd of spectators. They floated in midair beside the Phoenix elder. Seeing this, Fiery was dissatisfied. "Yo, you even found a helper." Fiery said with a look of disdain, "You have more helpers than I do." The elder of the Phoenix tribe pointed at the group of snakes behind Xiaohua. "That's true. However, they can't help much in a battle with you. Looks like I'll have to look for other helpers." Lil Fire shook his head as he muttered to himself. As soon as its voice fell, a snow-white kitten appeared beside Lil Fire. "Don't be afraid. It'll be your helper," the little kitten said with a smirk. "Hee, I can't ask for more." Seeing Azure, Fiery was happy. Originally, it wanted to borrow a few people from the woman, but it didn't expect Boss Song to actually volunteer to fight. Who was it afraid of? When the crowd saw the kitten that was not even the size of an adult's palm, they could not help but laugh, especially the 5 King Divine Beast Clan elders who laughed the loudest. However, Song couldn't be bothered to even roll his eyes. The patriarch of the Yao family was also very excited. With a teleport, he also ran to the side of the 5 elders to join the fun. If he didn't stand out now, what was he waiting for? It would not be good for the Yao family if they were to anger these divine beasts. Chapter 2288 Face Slapping 3. Seeing that the Yao family's patriarch was also ready to fight, Song didn't say anything and directly stretched out his fluffy little white claws. He looked at the 6 people in front of him and counted 1, 2. 6 against 2. Aren't you bullying us? What can we do? who asked him to be a king of the Divine Beast clan. All right, there's also the head of the Yao family, the leader of the 8 divine domains. Lil Fire's voice was filled with faint sorrow, but its face was very disapproving. I see. Who else wants to come up and help? It's more lively with more people. Song thought for a moment and said to the crowd. Upon hearing this, those who didn't want to get involved took a big step back, while those who reacted slower were left at the most conspicuous place. You guys can come up. When Song saw this, he pointed to those very conspicuous people. I'm not fighting. When someone heard this, he quickly responded. With someone taking the lead, most of the people retreated. However, the Yao family didn't dare to retreat like the others. It was obvious that the Yao family didn't have many people that they could take out. Elder Yao Jiao was left behind to keep watch, while a few Yao family sinecures with decent strength braced themselves and joined the battle. In just a few minutes, the number of people on the Yao family head side had reached nearly 20. Seeing this situation, First Elder was worried again. Girl, why don't we go up and help too? First Elder said after some thought. Help the Yao family? Lung Ruoshua blinked her beautiful eyes and asked indifferently. Why would he help the Yao family? First Elder was speechless. Bad girl. She was clearly doing this on purpose. If we're not going to help the Yao family, why are we going up? Are we going to let people say that we're bullying them? Lung Ruoshua replied with a smile. They have so many people, yet they still say we're bullying them. Is there any justice in this world? If we're talking about bullying, then they're the ones bullying us. The First Elder said angrily. It wasn't the first day that he realized the shamelessness of the Yao family's old man. What's there to be afraid of? Fighting still depends on combat power. Look at those people, except for the head of the Yao family. How many of them have enough combat power? Besides, you've forgotten that Xiaohua can clone himself. Lung Ruoshua reminded. Speaking of Xiaohua's cloning technique, Lung Ruoshua felt a little depressed. That was because that little fellow had actually told her that he did not know why he could clone himself and how many he could clone himself. Therefore, it was as good as not saying anything. Xiaohua was completely confused. Lung Ruoshua had just recalled Xiaohua's clone technique when everyone saw Xiaohua split into 2. Furthermore, the 2 snakes were exactly the same in size and thickness. The 2 giant red snakes simultaneously cast a charming glance at the Yao family's patriarch and said with great enthusiasm, Old Man Yao, we meet again. These words immediately caused the Yao family head's face to change. Fuck, he had not forgotten how he had been toyed with by these 2 snakes. Then, he sent a message to the people around him, telling them to be careful of the 2 snakes. The 2 elders of the Dragon Clan narrowed their eyes and examined the 2 identical snakes in front of them after receiving the message from the Yao family head. They didn't expect that this giant red snake had such an ability, and obviously, this snake was not afraid of their coercion. It was estimated that it was a beast of the same bloodline as them. However, it was also because of this that they had doubts about Xiaohua's identity. Although the bloodlines of the 4 great king divine beasts were the noblest among the divine realm's magical beasts, this did not mean that no other beast bloodline could compare to them. For example, the bloodlines of some magical beasts that were doted upon by the heavens and earth were not inferior to them. However, the number of these magical beasts was usually very small, and the number of clansmen could be counted with 2 hands. Moreover, the inheritances of these magical beasts would often be lacking. Thus, in the divine realm, these clansmen were very rare, and the magical beasts that had the same noble bloodline as them could not be their opponents. Otherwise, the divine realm would not only have the 4 great king-level divine beasts. However, these circumstances were considered secrets in the beast clan. Not many people knew about it. Only by becoming an elder of a clan would one have the opportunity to learn about this. Therefore, the 5 elders of the beast clan quickly associated Lil Fire with a certain beast clan with a rare race and noble bloodline. However, they weren't completely sure because as far as they could remember, there didn't seem to be any snakes in that kind of beast clan. With this in mind, the 5 beast elders became more and more cautious. One of the dragon elders even asked about Xiaohua's situation. What kind of snake are you? How come I've never seen him before? The dragon elder could not help but ask. Have you seen all kind of snakes? Xiaohua didn't answer and asked instead. That's not it. The dragon elder was very honest. Thanks, since that's the case, why are you still asking? I'm the type that you've never seen before. Lil, Fire said righteously, not caring in the slightest that his words would anger the other party half to death. When the other party heard this, his face turned red with anger. When Lung Ruoxue saw this, she could not help but laugh in her heart. She discovered that after being with her for a long time, the bees seemed to have learned to speak with sharp tongues. However, she would never admit that they had learned it from her. She didn't teach these little guys bad things. However, she couldn't deny that she felt a sense of accomplishment when she saw her own beasties infuriate their opponents half to death. This was more like her beasts. Lung Ruoxue thought to herself proudly. At this moment, a dragon's roar suddenly rang out beside her ear. She couldn't help but raise her head and see that the dragon clan's elder who had spoken earlier had already transformed into his true form. He was glaring at Xiaohua with eyes that were spewing fire. However, he was still rational and didn't rush forward immediately. On the contrary, he had a very vigilant expression. When Fiery saw the situation, he revealed his sharp teeth as he smiled and said, "It looks like you want to fight me. Come on, I'll let you pay for my power." After he finished speaking, Fiery did not move. Instead, he passively waited for the opponent to attack. However, for some reason, that Dragon Clan elder actually did not attack as quickly as Fiery had expected. This situation made Fiery a little depressed. Should they fight or not? Did they set up a formation just to scare the snake? Xiaohua secretly cursed, cursing all 8 generations of the Dragon Clan's ancestors in his heart. AI, since you're not going to make the first move, I'll have to do it myself. Actions speak louder than words. The moment this thought appeared in his mind, Fiery made his move. A thick and strong snake tail swept towards the Dragon Clan's elder who had transformed into his true form with an imposing manner that could swallow the sky. Of course, it didn't let go of the Yao family's head and the others who were very close to this Dragon Clan's elder. Instead, it attacked them in passing. Those who reacted slowly were hit by its snake tail and fell straight down. The Dragon Tribe elder who had dodged the snake tail's attack dodged to the side and continued to stare at Xiaohua with a pair of eyes filled with fear. Damn it! What was this thing? The Dragon elder still felt a lingering fear when he thought of the terrifying pressure just now. While its heart was still pounding, the other giant red snake made its move. This time, the Dragon elder was clearly not mentally prepared. So in just a moment, his huge dragon body was split open by the snake's thick and powerful tail. Hot blood flowed down from the cracks in his skin. At this moment, someone shouted, "Dragon blood! Don't waste it, everyone, pick it up quickly." Upon hearing this, the Dragon elder almost died of anger. You can't do this. It was injured and there was no one to comfort it. But how could they add insult to injury and want to collect its blood? However, his words just now had obviously made everyone present go crazy. Some were looking for tools, and some were taking out tools. For a moment, the battle circle below became lively. At this time, no one would have thought that the person they were going to receive blood from was an elder of the Dragon Clan. They were so excited that they couldn't care less about their fear. After all, this opportunity was too rare. Dragon blood. That was dragon blood. Who wouldn't go crazy for the opportunity to collect dragon blood for free? Even the 9th elder of the Yao family gave his subordinates a look, telling them to act according to the situation and collect some dragon blood when they had the opportunity, let alone others. They really collected them without any consideration. The people below were in high spirits, and Lil Fire in the Sky naturally wouldn't let go of this rare opportunity, because it knew that women would sometimes use dragon blood. Hence, it had to collect some for Lung Ruoxue. He took out a small white jade bottle and walked to the Dragon Elder with a smile. He looked like a big bad wolf looking at Little Red Riding Hood and said to the injured and angry dragon, "Little dragon, be good and give me some blood. Don't resist, because resistance is useless." You'd better obediently follow me." After Lil Fire finished speaking, its thick long tail curled and tied up that unlucky giant dragon. Then it accepted the dragon's blood graciously. All the movements were as smooth as floating clouds and flowing water. The dragon couldn't react in time and was tied up firmly. Moreover, no matter how it struggled, Xiaohua didn't move at all. Seeing this, the head of the Yao family and the others were about to step forward to help, but they were stopped by another small fire. "You can't go over now. Wait for us to finish collecting the dragon's blood," the other giant red snake said with a smirk. At the same time, it began to size up the other dragon elder with its sparkling eyes. It was as if it had seen a supreme-grade crystal mine. The elder of the dragon clan, who was being sized up by the dragon, was so angry that his face turned pale. However, he did not dare to act rashly because he did not want to be accepted by someone in public. That would be too embarrassing, right? Especially when he heard the old dragon, who had received dragon blood, wailing in grief and indignation. His little heart trembled nonstop. How detestable! It was really too detestable. He had never seen such a detestable snake. What did its actions put the dragon clan in? This was a slap in the face. Chapter 2289. It was a tragic sight. 1. The dragon elder was roaring in his heart. However, his intelligence was not as low as Elder Qin's. He could tell that the snake in front of him was not weaker than him, and might even be stronger. Thus, after thinking for a moment, he transmitted a message to the other four and planned to invite them to deal with this snake together. As for the others, he really didn't care about them. Those people could only be cannon fodder. The four of them, including the head of the Yao family, couldn't refuse the voice transmission. After all, this concerned the honor of the beast race and the Yao family. The head of the Yao family had long been eager to deal with these two detestable snakes, so when he heard this request, he was naturally more than happy to do so, because he couldn't forget the humiliation these two snakes had once given him. After the five of them finished their discussion, the four human-shaped beasts transformed into their huge forms and surrounded the giant red snake that was blocking the dragon clan's elder. In an instant, the dragon's roar, phoenix's roar, and tiger's roar sounded continuously. The four beasts looked at the giant red snake with eyes filled with determination and ruthlessness. The Yao family's head stood behind them, ready to support them at any time and take advantage of any opportunity. When the giant red snake saw this scene, not only did it not show any fear, but the corners of its mouth pulled up into a faint smile, and it teased, "Yo, get ready for a gang fight. Hee hee, I love gang fights. Boss, let's gang up and beat up these little bastards." The latter part of the sentence was what Lil Fire said to Azure. Azure was also very cooperative, smiling, "All right. However, these little bastards aren't enough to fill the gaps between my teeth." The dragons, phoenixes, and white tigers who had noble bloodlines trembled in anger, and their faces turned green, then white, and finally black. Not to mention the dragons and phoenixes who were already burning with anger. Even the snow-white fur of the white tigers turned pink from anger. "Damn it, who are you calling a little bastard? You are the little bastards. Your whole family is." The other elder of the Phoenix tribe was also very impulsive. Therefore, he was the first one to curse out loud, unable to bear the humiliation. "Hee hee, whoever loses is a little bastard. So what?" Azure's smile was very punchable as his bright eyes kept sizing up the four beasts while muttering, "Oh, this fur is not bad. Neo should like it, right? This dragon skin is also not bad. It'll peel it off for Neo to use in refining." As it talked to itself, it sized up the few beasts who were so angry that their bodies were on fire, and their little hearts couldn't help but tremble again. "Fuck, why does this damn cat's eyes make me so uncomfortable?" Although they didn't believe the cat's words and didn't think that it could skin them, its words were really hateful. Therefore, for a moment, the four beasts' eyes were all focused on the little snow-white cat in front of them, and the giant red snake was ignored. However, the giant red snake didn't care about this kind of disregard. Instead, it excitedly turned its attention to the head of the Yao family who was hiding behind the four mythical beasts. Of course, the head of the Yao family didn't know about the giant red snake's slightly disdainful thoughts. Otherwise, he would definitely cry out that he was wronged because he didn't hide. This was their strategy, okay? But now, no one wanted to listen to his explanation. Almost everyone's eyes were attracted by the snowy white kitten who was fighting against four people. Everyone was surprised. Was this little kitten ignorant and fearless? Otherwise, why would he dare to challenge the four great divine beasts with noble bloodlines? In everyone's eyes, this was clearly the rhythm of seeking death. Thanks, however, no one knew if this little kitten was really looking for death. Moreover, no one could answer their doubts. Next, their eyes were all attracted by the screams. It was the dragon that was tied up by Lil Fire that let out the cry. Xiaohua felt that the other party was bleeding too slowly. It took out a dagger from somewhere and ruthlessly stabbed countless holes in the unlucky dragon's body. Then, it also took out a few more white jade bottles and continued to collect the dragon's blood as if no one was around. When the crowd saw this, they deeply sympathized with this arrogant dragon elder. Watch. No matter if it was a human or a beast, they couldn't be too smug. Great. Now they had received their retribution, right? Although they sympathized with them, they were still gloating over their misfortune. Moreover, many people held grudges. They clearly remembered how these divine beasts had ignored them. Therefore, they naturally felt both sympathy and hatred in their hearts. These two conflicting feelings also made many people feel conflicted. At this time, Lil Fire also felt that everyone's eyes were focused on him again. He hurriedly put on a posture that he thought was cool and imposing, and even grinned at everyone, which immediately scared many people in a cold sweat. Oh my God, this smile was really horrifying. No matter how they looked at it, they felt that it was Grandmother Wolf's smile and that she didn't have a good heart. Therefore, out of fear of Little Fire, most people quietly took a big step back. Seeing this, Fiery was depressed. He even started to reflect on his own problems. Could it be that he wasn't handsome enough? That's not right. It didn't beat up the innocent. Lil Fire couldn't help but secretly say aggrievedly, and the gaze he used to look at everyone also became bitter. However, it didn't stop taking the dragon's blood at all. When the unlucky dragon that had its blood drained fainted from losing too much blood, Fiery threw it down from the air with a look of disgust. With a bang, the dragon elder smashed a 10-meter deep hole in the ground in front of the inn. Thus flew up, and everyone coughed. Then, they took a few steps back until they had nowhere to go. If they wanted to retreat, they would have to go back to the inn. The crowd was addicted to watching the show, so naturally, they were not willing to let go of this good show. However, if such a behemoth fell from the sky from time to time, it would pose a certain threat to their lives, so they couldn't help but be conflicted. But how could Lil Fire care so much? After collecting the blood of one dragon, it turned its attention to another dragon and said to Tsong with a smile, "Boss, let that dragon over." When Azure heard this, he nodded his head. When the dragon elder heard this, he was about to flare up when he realized that he couldn't move. Then a white light flashed in front of him, and in the next second, he was tied up by a thick red snake tail. The elder of the dragon tribe was shocked. Fuck, how did this happen? It didn't even have time to react before it became a prisoner. How is this possible? This fact was a huge blow to the dragon tribe elder who was about to meet with misfortune. This process was a huge blow to the onlookers. The main thing was that they didn't see anyone make a move at all, and that old dragon became someone else's captive. How could they, who were just onlookers, accept such an outcome? Chapter 2290. It was a tragic sight to Awu. Suddenly, everyone heard an extremely tragic dragon roar. This time, they didn't even need to raise their heads to guess what kind of treatment the old dragon had received. Instantly, their hearts quivered. It was better to just watch the show and not get involved in their battle. They didn't have as thick a skin as the dragon race, and they couldn't stand such a torment. With this thought in mind, the onlookers immediately quieted down. They wished they could turn invisible at this time. Otherwise, they would be the unlucky ones if they were targeted by the two snakes and the cat. Old Man Ning, I kind of pity these divine beasts. I wonder what kind of reaction their clan will have if they find out. I'm actually looking forward to it. At this time, the master of the Chung family couldn't help but whisper to the master of the Ning family beside him. Hearing this, the master of the Ning family laughed and said, "Don't worry, you will know their reaction. However, I believe that the peaceful days of the divine realm will be gone forever. It seems that I have to make early preparations." The head of the Chung clan stroked his chin and said seriously, Prepare well. The days to come will be lively." Master Ning smirked. Then, he turned to look in Lung Ruoxu's direction without saying anything. At this moment, the White Tiger race's elder who had witnessed the tragic end of the two dragon race's elders finally couldn't take it anymore and growled in a low voice. How dare you do this to us, the four king divine beasts?" Although it didn't really want to meddle in the affairs of the dragon tribe's elders, it knew that if it didn't speak up for the dragon tribe now, they would probably be the next ones to receive such treatment. It didn't forget that this abominable cat was still thinking about their snow-white fur. "So what if I've treated you like this? Why don't you come and bite me?" Song Chi said angrily. As he spoke, he played with his tail. The three godly beasts in front of him gritted their teeth and couldn't wait to tear him into pieces. Of course, they could only think about this in their hearts. It wasn't that they didn't want to do that, but they were a little afraid. In their eyes, Tsang wasn't even as big as one of their claws. However, this small and exquisite cat had ignored them and wasn't afraid of them at all. This made them wary. Moreover, the remaining three beasts knew very well that the white light was this cat. However, it was too fast and could not see clearly. However, the Dragon Tribe Elder had fallen into the hands of the other party and did not even have time to react. The little white cat's strength and speed made the three beasties very afraid. They really couldn't figure out what breed this cat was. It seemed that there was no such cat in the divine realm. This giant red snake and this little white cat caused the beastie to rack their brains, but they still couldn't figure out their true identities. The only thing they could be sure of was that the other party was not afraid of their pressure. Just this point alone made them lose their advantage. However, Tsang would not give them too much time to think. Moreover, before Tsang attacked, he wouldn't give a notification or anything. Therefore, with a few more white lights, the three beastie also couldn't react in time and directly fell from the sky. The place they fell was the big pit that the unlucky dragon had smashed out. With their participation, the area of the pit became bigger and deeper, causing the onlookers to have almost no place to stand, and many people were already floating in the air. Thanks suddenly, everyone heard a crack. Kacha! Then, many people looked down from above and saw that there were a few cracks in the ground starting from the big pit. The cracks spread very quickly. In just a few seconds, they had reached the entrance of the hotel. Then, there were a few more Kacha sounds. The cracks spread to the inn, and the entire inn collapsed in front of everyone. The inn had several floors. When it fell, it almost hit the onlookers who were a bit slow to react. Those people were all scared and broke out in cold sweat. Then they all floated in the air. They couldn't help but think to themselves with a lingering fear that watching the fun was indeed life-threatening. As for the Yao family members, they didn't dare to say anything despite their anger. Following this, everyone heard Song say to the snakes, "You guys go and collect some dragon scales, tiger skin, and phoenix feathers." Instantly, everyone broke out in cold sweat. Was this really plucking the feathers from the swallow? The dragon scales and phoenix feathers could be removed. At least they wouldn't hurt the dermis, but the tiger skin. Did that mean he was going to skin the tiger? Oh, how cruel. Skinning a tiger was definitely much more bloody than simply collecting dragon scales and phoenix feathers. For a time, everyone's sympathy for the White Tiger clan rose greatly. This time, they really sympathized with each other. I won't lie. However, even though they sympathized with the other party, they knew that this was not something they could stop. Therefore, they could only watch helplessly as the snakes, who had received the order, descended from the sky in high spirits. Then dragon scales and phoenix feathers flew all over the sky. They really didn't see it. The entire group of snakes worked together, and very quickly, the dragon scales and phoenix feathers that were all over the ground were collected by them. The dragon and phoenix, who had been in a deep coma since they landed, did not wake up even after being ravaged by the snakes. From this, it could be seen that they were badly injured. After taking care of the dragon and phoenix, the leading snake curled its tail and carried the two huge white tigers on its body. Then, the snake specially explained to the onlookers, "We'll slowly peel off this tiger's skin when we get back. I won't let you guys watch anymore. Otherwise, it's not good if it's too bloody." When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but think in their hearts, "It's not good to be too bloody. Weren't your actions just now brutal enough?" Of course, they only dared to think about it in their hearts. They definitely did not dare to say it out loud in front of these savage beasts. Otherwise, they would definitely become one of these beasts. Moreover, everyone had to cooperate a little and said with a smile, "Hee hee, you guys do as you please." Hearing this, the snake leader was happy. Then, he shook his head and returned at Song's side with his subordinates. His pair of cold eyes directly stared at the Yao family's guardians. When a few consecrators saw this, they could not help but smile bitterly in their hearts. Why did they have ideas about them? They didn't dare to make a move. The few of them revealed pitiful expressions. When the snake leader saw this, he said with a look of disdain, "Even if you surrender now, it's too late. However, we won't deal with you right now. Just wait to collect the body of the Yao family head." Everyone was shocked by this. The Yao family head's face turned green with anger. "Damn it, what did you just say?" The Yao family head's furious roar resounded through the heavens and earth. Chapter 2291. It was a terrible sight. 3. However, with someone backing him up, the great snake leader was no longer afraid of him. The great snake leader let out a wretched smile and said, "I said you're dead. Your Yao family is finished." It was very satisfying to say these words, and after it finished, it even laughed wildly. When the Yao family head heard this, he was furious. Without thinking, he directly rushed towards the leading snake. However, he was stopped halfway by a small cat. "Moo!" he shouted. The head of the Yao family suppressed his anger and narrowed his eyes. He knew that this cat was not to be trifled with, so he naturally did not want to fight it easily. Especially when he had no external help, he was even more reluctant to fight this kitten directly. "I won T. If I let you go just because you told me to, I'd lose face." Song laughed as he indifferently said, "You really want to meddle in this?" The head of the Yao clan asked angrily, "How can this be a matter of no concern? These snakes are my little brothers. If I don't care, who will?" Azure said matter-of-factly. Then it added, "If you're afraid that you can't win, you can also find someone to help. I don't mind. Ask for help. Who else could he look for now?" When the head of the Yao family heard this, he really turned around to look for the crowd. However, he couldn't find the figure of the head of the Ning family and the others in the crowd. Not to mention that they had disappeared. Even the representatives of several major forces had disappeared without a trace. This fact made the anger in the head of the Yao family's heart instantly rise to the top of his head. How detestable! After watching enough, he actually ran away. The head of the Yao family was filled with hatred, but he didn't want to lose face. Although he was also afraid of this cat, he didn't want to be looked down upon by it. So, after thinking for a while, he came up with an excuse and said to the others, "Everyone, these beasts are too despicable. As a member of the human race, we can't let them humiliate us like this. We have to fight for the dignity of the human race. So let's teach them a good lesson together." Although his words were a little emotional and raised this matter to the height of the human race, no one present was willing to respond to him. After all, no one was a fool. This matter was obviously your Yao family's matter. What did it have to do with the human race? Therefore, after hearing his words, everyone looked up at the sky in unison and ignored him. Seeing this, the head of the Yao family became even angrier. At the same time, the master of the Ning family and the others had already run to the next street and were observing the situation here through their divine sense. At this time, the Yao family's old man had no time to care about using his divine sense, so they were very happy to watch. Old Man Ning, you were right. This old man is really shameless. He actually wanted to use others. It's a good thing we ran away quickly, otherwise it wouldn't have been easy to refuse. The head of the Chung clan said with a look of relief, who asked them to be people with status. Sometimes he just couldn't help it. The Yao family's head wouldn't have really fallen, right? If he really dies, it'll be so boring. At this moment, the master of the Yin family couldn't help but say, "You guys are thinking too much." Hearing the words of these two, the master of the Ning family sighed. He had just contacted Shui and knew that Song wouldn't kill the old man of the Yao family so easily. At most, he would just make him lose face and make a fool of himself. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. He really didn't dare to imagine what kind of embarrassment the old man of the Yao clan would make. With Song's help, everything was possible. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but look forward to it. However, when he saw the embarrassment that the Yao family's old man had caused, he couldn't help but sympathize with that fellow from the bottom of his heart. To an expert, death was not scary. What was terrifying was that he would rather die. Although the treatment of the Yao family's old man was not to the point where he would rather die, he had lost all his face. The head of the Yao family had left. Not only was he exposed, but he was also tied up by that evil Song in a position that made one's imagination run wild and hung in the air. When a master of the Ning family saw this scene through his divine sense, his jaw almost dropped. Although this scene was familiar to him, it had never been as evil as Song's. This was shocking. The Yao family head's alluring posture also made him hear the sound of everyone swallowing their saliva. This was really... He was speechless. He didn't know how to describe his current mood. The Chung family's head and the others, who weren't mentally prepared, were directly stunned by this scene and couldn't come back to their senses for a long time. From this, it could be seen how much stimulation this scene had on them. But the one who received the greatest shock was the head of the Yao family. Thanks, the head of the Yao clan couldn't understand, no matter how hard he thought. How could this be? He had only exchanged 2 moves with this cat. How could he have been captured? To be honest, he didn't even know how he was captured alive. By the time he realized it, he had already become the other party's prisoner. The hateful cat even used its sharp claws to cut open his clothes, causing him to be naked in front of everyone. That was not all, but after the cat cut open his clothes, it tied his limbs up and whipped him. All of this made the head of the Yao family feel deeply humiliated. Fuck. He had always been the one to treat others this way, but now it was his turn to be treated this way. The head of the Yao family was so embarrassed and angry that he wanted to faint, but he was still very energetic. This feeling made him even more resentful. Is the head of the Yao family very happy? At this moment, Lung Ruoxue, who had been hiding in the crowd, could not help but ask softly. The moment the old man's clothes were taken off, her eyes were covered by the demon. However, when she heard the pained moans by her ears, she could not help but judge that the head of the Yao family probably liked to be treated this way. Not happy. That old man wants to commit suicide. When he heard Lung Ruoxue's words, the demon gritted his teeth and replied, "That damned Song. Why did he do such a thing in public? Wasn't he trying to lead Shui astray?" Really? Lung Ruoxue asked in disbelief. Dongfang Lin, who received the warning look from the demon, quickly replied, "It's true. I can be a witness. Grand Elder, you didn't lie to me." Lung Ruoxue asked First Elder with a look of disbelief. "It's true." The Great Elder had a bitter expression on his face. Under the devilish gaze, he braced himself and said, "Oh, why did he have to be involved in such a matter?" Dongfang Lin, who was not trusted by Lung Ruoxue, said pitifully, "Little girl, how can you not believe me? I'm such an honest and kind person. Why would I lie to you?" Dongfang Lin was very hurt by this. "You're honest and kind?" Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh when she heard this. "Isn't that the case?" Dongfang Lin's eyes widened as he asked in disbelief. I didn't find anything. Lung Ruoxue was very honest. On the other hand, Dongfeng Lin was depressed. Could it be that the honest and kind image that he had been trying to create all this time had not succeeded? However, before Dongfeng Lin had the chance to think about it seriously, Lung Ruoxue said to the crowd, "Let's leave first." "You're leaving just like that?" The great elder blinked his eyes and couldn't help but ask. "And Sang's group is too ruthless. We can't do anything here, so let's give the Yao family some time to recover. We'll come back later," Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. After she finished speaking, she pulled the evildoer's arm, and the two of them turned to leave. When the others saw this, they quickly followed behind. Master Ning had received Lung Ruoxue's message and knew that they had left first. Hence, he found an excuse to break up with Master Cheng and the rest. When Song saw Lung Ruoxue and the rest leave, he abandoned the Yao family head and the few unlucky beasts that had fainted a long time ago with a look of reluctance. He led the crowd and left in a carefree manner. Of course, before leaving, Xiaohua did not forget to give the Yao family's consecrators a good beating and also collected the dragon scales of the dragon it had tied up. The two white tigers were taken away by them, and as for the Yao family elders who were originally their prisoners, they were easily thrown to the ground this time. In Xiaohua's words, the Yao family had no money and it was a waste of food to raise these elders for nothing. Therefore, it was better to return them to the Yao family. Anyway, with their skills, they could naturally capture these elders at any time. There was no need to specially raise them. After Tsang and Xiaohua led the group of snakes and swaggered away, Elder Yao Jiu hurriedly ordered people to rescue the Yao family head and the few divine beasts who had suffered humiliation. At this time, the Yao family head had already fallen into a daze from shame and anger. "Master! Master!" Seeing this, Elder Yao Jiu hurriedly called out. However, the Yao family head still hadn't come back to his senses after a long while. Elder Yao Jiu was extremely worried and could only order people to carry the family head and the others back first. As for the rest, it was better to wait until the family head had regained consciousness before talking about it. The onlookers were also persuaded by Elder Yao's kind words and promised that they would not disclose any of these things. However, the next day, these things still spread out and quickly spread to the entire divine realm. For a time, the Yao family's divine territory became the focus of everyone's attention. 3 days later, the head of the Yao family finally returned to normal. However, the things that had happened before that had caused him to lose all his face made him hate Master Ning, Lung Ruoxue, and the others even more, because he had blamed them for everything he had suffered. This was enough to show that the head of the Yao family was a person who couldn't distinguish right from wrong. Chapter 2292. Why wouldn't I dare to appear? 1. Not only could he not tell right from wrong, but he also liked to distort the truth and slander others. And the reason why the head of the Yao family was like this was also greatly related to his selfish nature. Even though Lung Ruoxue and the rest were still unclear of the Yao family head's thoughts, even if they knew, they probably wouldn't care too much. Lung Ruoxue was someone who always thought of dealing with whatever came her way, so she wouldn't care what the Yao family head was up to. After resting for a few days, the head of the Yao family immediately went to find the elders of the dragon kind and the phoenix kind who were on the same side as him. Right now, these elders were recuperating in the guest house of the Yao family, and their injuries were definitely much more serious than his. Therefore, the head of the Yao family was very certain that they must hate those snakes to the bone. This was also a good opportunity for him to rope Lung Ruoxue in as an ally. Thinking of this, the head of the Yao family became excited. If he told those stupid mythical beasts that the snakes were in cahoots with Lung Ruoxue, it would definitely incite their hatred, right? At the same time, he would be able to get rid of Lung Ruoxue for him. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The Yao family head's thoughts had put him in a good mood, so he felt a little lightheaded on his way to the guest courtyard. When he arrived at the guest house, he considerately went to greet the 4 elders of the Dragon Clan and the Phoenix Clan who were still in good condition. These people were badly injured. Even though they had taken healing pills, they couldn't recover so quickly. The feathers on the two elders of the Phoenix tribe had grown quite a lot, but the dragon scales on the two elders of the dragon tribe wouldn't grow so soon. Therefore, the two elders looked very pale and weak. After the head of the Yao family greeted them with false feelings, he pretended to casually mention Lung Ruoxue. He even told the four of them that according to his investigation, those snakes had a great relationship with Lung Ruoxue and had come to the Yao family to cause trouble under her orders. The reason was that the Yao family had gathered all the factions to discuss Lung Ruoxue's matter, so Lung Ruoxue had come to take revenge. Even though he had framed Lung Ruoxue, he couldn't deny that he had been lucky and guessed some facts correctly. At this moment, the Yao family head would definitely not tell the four of them the real reason why the snakes had come to seek revenge. When the four of them heard this, they were furious. The two elders of the Phoenix clan even wanted to take revenge on Lung Ruoxue immediately. However, they were stopped by the Yao family head. The head of the Yao family consoled the agitated elder. "Please calm down, elders. Lung Ruoxue is just a little girl. It's not difficult to deal with her. If we want to deal with her, we could do it any time. The key issue now is Master Ning." "What does it have to do with Master Ning?" the two elders of the Phoenix tribe asked in confusion. "AI, you may not know this, but Lung Ruoxue is Master Ning's goddaughter. If we want to deal with her, we'll have to get past Master Ning first. Otherwise, with Master Ning blocking in front of the other forces, many forces will definitely not dare to step out. That's why I said that Master Ning is the key," the head of the Yao clan said with a conflicted and troubled expression. Thanks. As soon as he finished speaking, the four elders of the Phoenix and Dragon clans were stunned. They had heard that Lung Ruoxue had a close relationship with a master of the Ning family, but no one had taken it seriously. Now that the master of the Yao family had said so, this news must be true. For a moment, the four of them were deeply conflicted. If Lung Ruoxue was alone, they would have no problem dealing with her. Now that it involved the master of the Ning family, they had to treat it with caution. After all, Master Ning's status in the divinity was extraordinary. However, the four of them thought about it. No matter how powerful Master Ning was, he was only one person. Would Master Ning dare to make an enemy of the entire divinity because of Lung Ruoxue? Moreover, wasn't there still the Divine Lord's estate? The Divine Master's estate had issued an arrest warrant for Lung Ruoxue with the Divine Master's estate's name. Even if they were to deal with Lung Ruoxue, Master Ning would not dare to say anything. At the thought of this, the four of them felt relieved. They felt that Lung Ruoxue was not a big problem at all. The most important thing now was to restore their reputation. Otherwise, wouldn't the four great King Divine Beast clans become the laughingstock of others in the future? Right now, to them, the reputation of their race was above everything else. Hence, they had thrown the warning that their race was not allowed to participate in Lung Ruoxue's incident to the back of their minds, and naturally stood on the same side as the Yao family head. After getting the four people's support, the Yao family's head's mood became better and better, and he found the four more and more pleasing to the eye. After exchanging a few more words with the four, he left the guest courtyard. However, he didn't return to his room immediately after leaving the guest house where the four elders were staying. Instead, he went to the guest house where Jiangning was staying. The inn that Jiangning used to stay in had already collapsed. Therefore, although the accommodation in Jiangning was still the best compared to the other factions, it was not as good as it was before. However, Jiangning had shown his understanding of the Yao family, so he wasn't picky about where he was staying. With a heart full of gratitude, the head of the Yao family expressed his gratitude to Jiangning. Jiangning also cooperated and exchanged a few polite words. The two of them chatted for a while, and Jiangning even took the initiative to ask the reason why the head of the Yao family had come. When the head of the Yao family heard Jiangning's question, his face immediately turned awkward. Then he replied in embarrassment, "I've come to ask Sir Jiangning to make a few healing pills for the four elders of the Phoenix and Dragon clans. They're too heavily injured, and they'll need high-grade healing pills to fully recover." A high-grade healing pill. Patriarch Yao, Do you know how many precious materials are needed to make high-grade healing elixirs? Jiang Ning asked with a frown. In fact, he really wanted to ask, can you afford it? However, the head of the Yao family had just suffered a huge blow, so he really couldn't bear to continue provoking this unlucky old man. So he could only ask very implicitly. I know. I still have some materials on hand, which should be enough to make a few healing pills. The head of the Yao clan said, after some hesitation. He had kept those materials for himself. However, in order to win over the 4 elders of the Dragon Tribe and the Phoenix Tribe, he had to give it his all. If the bait wasn't heavy enough, how could those 4 idiots be willing to work for him? This was called eating someone's hand. A few is not enough. If you want to make 4 healing pills, you have to prepare at least twice the amount, which is enough to make 8 healing pills. After all, you have to prepare the probability of failure. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to produce 4 pills with just the right materials. If there are only 2 pills, who will you give them to? After hearing the Yao family head's words, Jiang Ning reminded him with a faint smile. They'll think of a way. If I have prepared enough herbs, they'll come and find Sir Jiang Ning. The head of the Yao family pondered for a moment before replying. Chapter 2293. Why wouldn't I dare to appear? 2. Sure, they'll be waiting for you at any time. Jiang Ning said with a smile as he sent the Yao family's head off. Just as he sent one of them off, he heard another knock on the door. He opened the door and saw Mo Yin and Lung Xiaoyu standing outside. The Yao family head is here, Mo Yin asked as he walked into the room. Then, he found a place to sit down. They're here. They asked me to help them refine a few healing pills for the 4 beasts. Jiang Ning replied honestly. You agree? Mo Yin raised his eyebrows and asked calmly. Why not? There's no reason for me to reject someone who's willing to give me medicinal herbs. Jiang Ning said with a smirk. Poor Yao family head, you were just exploited a while ago, and now you're going to rob me again. Hearing this, Mo Yin sighed with sympathy. What? Jiang Ning raised his eyebrows and looked at Mo Yin, waiting for his answer. The Yao family was robbed by Master Ning and those snakes a while ago. Now, the Yao family's wealth should be empty. Mo Yin said with a smile, his handsome face full of gloating. How do you know? Didn't you decide not to contact Master Ning for the time being? Did you change your mind? Jiang Ning asked curiously. In order to show that he was on the side of justice, Mo Yin had said before he came that he would not contact Master Ning for the time being, in case others would find something to use against him and gossip about him. After arriving at the Yao family's main city, Mo Yin did as he said and turned a blind eye to Master Ning and the others. But now it seemed that he had contacted Master Ning. I didn't contact Master Ning openly, while only occasionally communicate through mental transmissions. Mo Yin said calmly. Oh, do you have any news of Lung Ruoxue? Jiang Ning quickly asked. I didn't ask, Mo Yin said honestly. Why don't you ask? Jiang Ning glared at him and asked fiercely. What's the rush? When the matters here are settled, I will naturally bring you to see Shui. So calm down and wait quietly. Besides, it's so lively here now. Isn't it enough for you to see? Don't think about Shui for now. Mo Yin said with a serious expression. In reality, he didn't ask about Lung Ruoxue's news when he was contacting Master Ning. It really had something to do with Jiang Ning. If he asked, he and Lung Xiaoyu wouldn't be able to stay here any longer. In that case, Jiang Ning would definitely leave with them. At that time, who knew how that brat Lung Ruoxue would be robbed by Jiang Ning? So, for the safety of that girl's medicinal herbs, it was better for him not to know about her situation for the time being. It was more important to solve the problem here first. Otherwise, he and Xiaoyu would not be able to meet Lung Ruoxue in peace. What do you plan to do here? Jiang Ning couldn't help but ask. I don't know. I can't do anything about it. I can only take it one step at a time. At least, I have to know what Master Yao's plan is. Mo Yin said after thinking for a while. That old man will definitely gather everyone to condemn Lung Ruoxue. Of course, there are also those snakes. Jiang Ning understood. Thanks, when the time comes, I'll just do whatever I want. Mo Yin said helplessly. Jiangning nodded. 2 days later, the head of the Yao family came to visit once again. With a pained expression, he delivered the medicinal herbs that Jiangning needed. Jiangning examined the herbs and found that most of them were of high quality. There were also quite a few fresh herbs that were probably collected by the Yao family head in the past 2 days. After collecting the herbs, Jiangning told the Yao family head to come back to collect the pills in 3 days. Hearing this, the head of the Yao family knew that this was an order for him to leave, so he tactfully chose to leave. However, when he left, his heart was bleeding. Those medicinal herbs. This time, he had really exhausted all of the Yao family's assets. However, when he thought about how these pills would become the capital for the Beast clan to denounce Lung Ruoxue for him, he remained calm. 3 days passed by, and the head of the Yao family finally made it through. In fact, he had been on tenterhooks for the past 3 days, afraid that Jiangning would inform him that the refining of the healing pill had failed. If that happened, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. Fortunately, the thing he was worried about did not happen. As promised, the head of the Yao family went to Jiangning's room and took the healing pills. He politely exchanged pleasantries with Jiangning and expressed his strong gratitude before he happily left the inn with the pills. After he left, Jiangning took out a storage ring and looked at the remaining herbs in it. He was in a good mood. He had earned quite a bit from refining pills for the Yao family head this time. There was an unspoken rule in the world of alchemists that if someone wanted to refine a pill, the medicinal herbs they prepared must be more than twice the number of pills they refined. The alchemist's alchemy fees could be included in these medicinal herbs or paid separately. However, additional payment was considered extra, and the meaning of it being included in the medicinal herbs also meant that as long as the alchemist could hand over a sufficient number of medicinal pills to the other party, it would be fine. As for how many medicinal herbs the alchemist used to refine these medicinal pills, it was the alchemist's own business. This was the method he used to make the deal with the head of the Yao family. In fact, for an alchemist of his status, even if he used this method to refine pills for the other party, he could also collect additional refining fees. However, out of sympathy for the unfortunate fate of the Yao family head, he very kindly waived the fee, and his behavior naturally won the gratitude of the Yao family head. As Jiangning thought of this, he couldn't help but feel proud. This time, not only did he give a huge favor to the Yao family head, but he also made a huge profit. It was really worth it. In fact, the head of the Yao family knew that Jiangning wouldn't be at a disadvantage. After all, with Jiangning's status, he didn't ask for much from him. Therefore, he was very grateful that Jiangning was willing to give him face. After taking the pills, the head of the Yao family couldn't wait to return to the Yao family's main residence. However, he had just left the inn when he was blocked by a giant red snake. "You still dare to appear?" Seeing the red snake, the anger in the Yao family's head instantly rose, but he still looked around cautiously from the corner of his eye. He was looking for the kitten that he hated even more. If the two of them joined forces, he had no chance of winning. After looking around and not finding any trace of the kitten, he calmed down a lot. Why would I not dare to appear? I'm not a rat that everyone wants to kill. Hee. Old man Yao, I heard that you asked someone to refine a few healing pills. Give me a few. It just so happens that I've been having diarrhea recently, and I really need it. Fiery discussed with a smile. Hearing this, the head of the Yao family was even more furious. Fuck. If you're having diarrhea, then go to the toilet. What does it have to do with healing pills? Chapter 2294. Why wouldn't I dare to appear? 3. Besides, he had only managed to get 4 healing pills with great difficulty, so how could he let this snake that had a deep hatred for him benefit? At the thought of this, the head of the Yao family said angrily, "Do you think that's possible? It's impossible. It seems like I can only snatch it." After Lil Fire heard the Yao family head's words, it appeared rather calm. However, the words it said almost made the Yao family head vomit blood. Fuck, how could this snake be so shameless? The head of the Yao family was filled with hatred. At this time, he would never have thought that in other people's eyes, he was also like this. Therefore, when he heard what Little Fire said, he could not accept it at all. Little Fire did not use much effort, and it managed to draw out his anger. But before he could make a move, Fiery took the lead. The long and thick snake tail very nimbly swung towards the Yao family's head. The Yao family's head immediately turned pale with fright and quickly took 2 steps back, floating in the air. Fuck! How could the snake be so fast? The head of the Yao family was panting heavily. His eyes were wide open as he stared at Xiaohua vigilantly. At the same time, he had secretly sent a message to the 4 elders of the Phoenix clan and the Dragon clan, asking them to come and help. Although the 4 elders had not recovered from their injuries, they should still be able to deal with the snake together. No, it was 2. 5 people against 2 snakes should be enough, right? The head of the Yao family wasn't too sure, but he had to give a try. Moreover, that detestable little kitten had yet to appear, so he felt that if his side wanted to take this opportunity to deal with this snake, they would still have the confidence. At the very least, they would have to keep the healing medicinal pill that he had obtained with great difficulty. As soon as the 4 elders of the Dragon tribe and the Phoenix tribe received Master Yao's message, they dragged their unhealed bodies and rushed over. Of course, they were all here for the freshly made healing pills. However, before they came, they still asked about the cat's condition very carefully. After knowing that the cat was not here, the 4 of them were completely relieved. The 4 elders rushed over, and the 5 of them quickly surrounded Xiaohua. Seeing this, Lil Fire did not show the slightest fear. After using the tip of its tail to scratch its huge head, it said helplessly, "What? Are you guys planning to gang up on me again? Oomph. So what if they ganged up on him? A demon like you, everyone in the divine realm knows about it." The head of the Yao family angrily said, "All right, since you said so, I won't be polite." After Xiaohua finished speaking, it immediately split into 2. However, this time it was not just 1 snake, but 6. However, these 6 snakes were much weaker than the original 2 clones, and they were not as thick as before. Originally, when the 5 people of the Yao family saw the 6 snakes that looked exactly the same, they were shocked. Then, after seeing the strength of the 6 snakes, they were relieved. Elder Qin couldn't help but laugh wildly. He said with a mocking expression, "Humph. Do you think that you can gang up on us just because you have a few more clones? You really don't know your own strength." After saying this, Elder Qin made the first move. However, she did not transform into her true form this time. As such, the difference in strength between her and the red snake was not too great. When the others saw this, they also found a snake to attack, but no one went to find Fiery. Seeing this, Fiery was furious. "There's still me. Why isn't anyone fighting me?" Xiaohua roared in anger. Then, in a penny and a pound, it directly set its eyes on the Yao family's head and began to deal with the Yao family's head with one of its clones. When the head of the Yao family saw this, he was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Fuck, why did this damn snake target him? However, even though he hated them, he still had to put in 120,000% of his energy and focus on dealing with the 2 snakes. As a reverent god-level cultivator, the Yao family head's strength was obvious to all. Therefore, he was still able to deal with the 2 little fires with ease. The reason why he was so relaxed this time was that Little Fire had split into 6 clones, which greatly reduced its strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to take advantage of it. Thanks after Xiaohua and his clone fought with the Yao family head for dozens of rounds, they didn't want to continue fighting with him. Therefore, Xiaohua gave a look to his clone, and the 6 snakes slowly ended the battle with the other party and floated away. All that was left were the 5 dumbfounded family heads. They were still in a fighting position, but their opponents were gone. Not only were they not prepared, but they also felt a strong sense of loss. Damn it, how could this be? The 5 of them were stunned for a moment before they regained their senses. Then, they awkwardly lowered their raised arms and pretended as if nothing had happened. They looked at each other and quickly turned their heads away. 4 elders, please quickly take the healing pills that I asked Sir Jiangning to refine for you. A long night may cause more trouble. After a long while, the head of the Yao family finally reacted and handed over the 4 pills. The 4 of them quickly took them. After all, they were also afraid. If the snake wasn't the only one who came this time, they might not be able to keep their healing pills. After taking the pills, the 4 of them were almost completely healed. They just needed a rest for 2 days, and they would be fine. Therefore, after expressing their gratitude to the head of the Yao family, the 4 of them went to thank Jiangning. At the same time, Xiaohua also went back to the bottom of the cliff dejectedly. At the moment, they were still living there temporarily. Lung Ruoxue, who was playing with the little beast at the bottom of the cliff, saw that Xiaohua had returned dejectedly. Her curiosity was piqued, and she could not help but ask, "Little Fire, what's wrong?" I've failed to steal the pill." Lil Fire burst into tears and turned into a stream of fiery red light, wrapping itself around Lung Ruoxue's jade-like wrist. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue didn't know what to say. Even though she wanted to comfort Lil Fire, she still didn't quite understand the situation. "What pill? Who did you rob?" "That old man from the Yao family, in order to treat the injuries of those 4 little insects and birds, specially asked someone to refine 4 very good healing pills. After I found out, I wanted to rob them, but I failed." Lil Fire looked at Lung Ruoxue with tears in its eyes and said pitifully, "I see." After understanding the situation, Lung Ruoxue gently stroked Xiaohua's head and consoled it. "It doesn't matter. Victory and defeat are common in the military. After winning so many times, he had to give in to them no matter what. Otherwise, they won't play with you anymore. Who are you going to fight with?" "That's true. So, I was smart enough to only fight with them for a few dozen rounds before leaving. I have good foresight." As Lil Fire was talking, it suddenly laughed again. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue was rather speechless. So, Xiaohua wasn't sad at all. Then why was it crying? She had thought that Little Fire had suffered a huge blow. However, she was relieved to see that Xiaohua was fine. Following that, she couldn't help but turn her gaze to Azure and ask with a clear expression, "Azure, you were the one who made Lil Fire go, right?" "And what I mean is that I want to let the Yao family's old man know that it was not easy to obtain those medicinal pills. Otherwise, why would he treasure them?" Azure laughed evilly. Then he bounced towards the 2 white tigers who were tied up like rice dumplings and said with extreme sympathy, Those 2 poor little kittens. The Yao family's old man doesn't even have you in his heart. You've been missing for so long, and he didn't even think of coming to save you. He didn't even refine any healing pills for you. Tell me, how did you end up in such a miserable state?" The 2 white tigers remained silent after hearing Song's words. Instead, they lowered their heads and did not even look at Song. However, Song did not care. He continued to mumble in their ears. In the end, the 2 white tigers could not take it anymore. They cried out and begged Song, "Wu Senior, please do a good deed and kill us. Don't torture us like this." When Song heard this, he pouted and said, "In your dreams." After saying that, it left the 2 white tigers with a bored expression, and the 2 white tigers let out a sigh of relief as they wished. The 2 of them weren't afraid of becoming prisoners. What they were afraid of was Song's endless nagging in their ears. This was definitely mental abuse. The 2 white tigers secretly sighed with lingering fear. Then, they closed their eyes and pretended to be unconscious. Seeing this scene, Lung Ruoxue and the rest couldn't help but snicker. Such a scene would happen almost every day. If Song Yiqian didn't mutter a few times in the ears of these 2 unlucky white tigers, he would feel uncomfortable all over. Of course, they wouldn't stop such a situation. Azure didn't mind that the 2 white tigers ignored him. In any case, he just had to say what he wanted to say. Another 2 days passed. The major forces living in the inn received the invitation from the head of the Yao family again. This time, the head of the Yao family invited them directly to his house. Because the Yao family still had some infectious patients, no one wanted to go. But after the Yao family repeatedly guaranteed that those people wouldn't cause any danger to them, the major forces could only bite the bullet and visit. However, before they headed to the Yao family, All the major powers went to Jiangning to buy some pills just in case. They bought some pills that could cure poison, and injuries. Jiangning even gave him a discount. Everyone was grateful, and Jiangning also made a lot of money. Sitting in the Yao family's living room, Jiangning couldn't even close his mouth. Seeing him like this, Imoyen couldn't help but give him a disdainful look. Chapter 2295, Lung Xiaoyu's Question 1. However, Jiangning didn't think much of it. Instead, he smiled and said to Imoyen in a low voice, "The old man from the Yao family invited us here today to discuss Lung Ruoxu's matter. Have you thought about what you want to say?" "What do you mean?" Imoyen raised his eyebrows, not quite understanding what Jiangning meant. "Isn't your disciple Lung Ruoxu's old ancestor? If someone makes an issue out of this, you'll have to think of a good excuse." Seeing that Imoyen was playing dumb, Jiangning had to explain more clearly. "We're here for justice, so we're naturally on the side of justice." Imoyen thought for a moment and said with a faint smile, You're not trying to say that justice will stand on the side of justice, are you?" Jiangning asked with uncertainty. "Yes, you're right. That's what I meant." Imoyen nodded. "But the current situation is clear. It's old man, Yao, who wants to find trouble with Lung Ruoxu. So, I think your idea is a little difficult to achieve." Jiangning couldn't help but remind him, "It doesn't matter. We'll just take one step at a time. I believe that none of us here are fools. There shouldn't be many people who would be willing to be led by the nose by the Yao family." Imoyen said calmly. "Good luck then." Seeing Imoyen's confidence, Jiangning didn't want to say anything more. At this time, the Yao family head walked into the living room, surrounded by the Yao family elders. After entering the living room, the head of the Yao family greeted everyone with great enthusiasm. This time, he didn't ignore the presence of others just because Jiangning was present. Therefore, the atmosphere this time was much better than the previous time. It could be said that the head of the Yao family had learned his lesson. However, Jiangning was still the target he paid the most attention to. Moreover, Jiangning's position was still the best among the crowd. From this, it could be seen that Jiangning was still the most important guest of the Yao family. After passionately exchanging pleasantries with the crowd, the head of the Yao family went straight to the point. With a face filled with righteous indignation, he recounted Lung Ruoxu's crimes, as well as how Lung Ruoxu had actually sent a group of snakes to cause trouble in order to take revenge for the Yao family's righteous words. In short, the head of the Yao family blamed Lung Ruoxu for everything that happened to the Yao family recently. Thanks after he was done talking about Lung Ruoxu's crimes, the head of the Yao family asked the various major powers to express their opinions. The Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan were the first to express their thoughts. They expressed that they wanted to represent the Dragon and Phoenix clans to attack Lung Ruoxu together. As for the other forces, they looked at the Yao family, the Dragon Clan, and the Phoenix Clan, who were all wearing the same pants, and then looked at the master of the Ning family, who was sitting on the side as if it was none of his business. They were very conflicted. Based on the current situation, the Yao family had clearly come to some sort of agreement with the Dragon Clan and Phoenix Clan to deal with Lung Ruoxu together. However, the relationship between Master Ning and Lung Ruoxu had been widely spread by certain people, and everyone in the divinity knew about it. Thus, everyone was in a difficult position. If they declared that they would advance and retreat together with the Yao family, the Dragon Clan, and the Phoenix Clan, they would probably offend Master Ning. Although Master Ning didn't join forces with the four King Divine Beasts, he still had many friends in the divinity, so his power might not be much weaker than the Yao family, the Dragon Clan, and the Phoenix Clan. Therefore, all the representatives were in a dilemma. Seeing that the representatives of the major forces didn't speak for a long time, the head of the Yao family couldn't help but feel a little anxious. However, he didn't show it on his face. Instead, he looked at the crowd with a calm and composed expression and said, "If you have any opinions, please speak. We're only discussing now." "Discuss? Discuss your head." They weren't fools and wouldn't believe the Yao family head's so-called discussion. They were afraid that once they said their thoughts, they would be determined. Therefore, no one wanted to say this. Seeing that no one supported him even after he had said so, the head of the Yao family coughed a few times and directly asked, Sir Jiangning, what do you think of this matter? As soon as he said this, everyone's eyes turned to Jiangning. At this moment, Jiangning was drinking his tea as if nothing had happened. He received everyone's heated gazes and heard the words of the Yao family's head. Jiangning knew that it was impossible for him to play dumb anymore. So, he put down his teacup and smiled faintly. What opinion can I have? I'm just an alchemist who doesn't do anything. I can't carry it on my shoulders, and I can't lift it with my hands. You don't have to consider my opinion. You can do whatever you want. Jiangning's words made it clear that he didn't want to get involved in this matter. However, how could the head of the Yao family let him off so easily? It wasn't easy for an important figure to come to the Alchemist Guild headquarters. The Yao family had naturally wanted to pull this heavyweight figure to his side. This way, the representatives of the various forces who were hesitating and waiting to see would be able to express their opinions as soon as possible. Therefore, Jiangning's opinion was extremely important when it came to the Yao family head. Jiangning had to express his opinion. Otherwise, wouldn't it be a waste of time to invite Jiangning over? At the thought of this, the head of the Yao family immediately disapproved. Sir Jiangning, you've always been highly respected in the divine realm. Many people regard you as their idol and role model. Therefore, your opinion is very important to us. All of us need a heavyweight like you to guide us, so you don't have to be modest. If you have any ideas, you can tell us honestly and give us your opinion. Don't you think so? Not bad. Mr. Jiangning, don't be so modest. Lung Ruoxue has done many things that infuriated the heavens and the people. She's a demon that everyone in the firmament wants to kill. We must gather everyone's strength to eliminate her. Hence, we need you very much. For the sake of justice, please join us. As soon as the head of the Yao family finished speaking, Elder Qin of the Feng clan echoed loudly with an excited expression. Moreover, judging from the resentful expression on her face, it was as if Jiangning's refusal was a great sin. Hearing this, Jiangning couldn't help but laugh. He then asked, I want to know what kind of outrageous thing Lung Ruoxue has done. Furthermore, does she need so many forces to work together to deal with a woman? The 8 great divine domains, the Dragon Clan, the Phoenix Clan, the Ascender Alliance, the Alchemist Guild headquarters, and the Weapon Master Guild, as well as so many great powers in the divine realm. Do we really need so many powers to join forces to deal with Lung Ruoxue? Did that mean that Lung Ruoxue had the power of a God Master? If that's the case, I advise you to give up. I've already explained to everyone what kind of outrageous things Lung Ruoxue has done. Furthermore, I've invited everyone here today not to join forces to deal with Lung Ruoxue, as we don't need so many people to do so. It's just that there are many among us who have close ties with Lung Ruoxue, which is why our Yao family has taken the lead to invite all of you here. The main reason is to discuss Lung Ruoxue's matter and to let everyone express their stand on this matter. That's why I'm hoping to get your support. If necessary, I hope that you'll also contribute. That's what I'm saying, Sir Jiangning. After hearing Jiangning's words, the head of the Yao family explained in a meaningful and heartfelt manner. Chapter 2296. Lung Xiaoyu's question 2. What you mean is that we only need to state which side we're on, and we don't need to deal with Lung Ruoxue? Jiangning asked. That's what I meant. Of course, if there are any righteous people who are willing to help the divine realm get rid of evil, we will also welcome them. However, before that, I need to know everyone's attitude. Only then can I better formulate the next plan. The head of the Yao clan continued. Since you don't need our Alchemist Guild headquarters to deal with Lung Ruoxue, it'll remain neutral. It'll sell the pills to both parties, and it'll guarantee that the price will be the same. I won't be biased towards either party. How about it? Jiangning said with a smile. Hearing this, the head of the Yao family almost vomited blood. Fuck, what did Jiangning mean? He even wanted to sell them pills? The war between them and Lung Ruoxue had become a great opportunity for Jiangning to accumulate wealth. The head of the Yao family was extremely depressed. However, the other party was Jiang Ning, the vice president of the Alchemist Guild headquarters. So, even though he was filled with hatred, he didn't dare to speak rudely. Otherwise, if they really offended Jiangning, the Yao family would definitely be the one in trouble. But what made the head of the Yao family even angrier was yet to come. As soon as Jiangning expressed his thoughts, a few other forces quickly expressed that they would remain neutral. Furthermore, they were afraid that they would anger the head of the Yao family and be put in a difficult position. Therefore, after these forces expressed their opinions, they immediately chose to leave. They didn't even give the head of the Yao family a chance to stay and disappeared. This scene made the head of the Yao family so angry that his liver hurt. However, it was fortunate that most of the power was still there, so he felt a little comforted. Seeing that Jiangning's path was no longer feasible, the head of the Yao family deliberately asked for the opinion of the Craftsmen's Guild. Although Mo Yan was the leader of the Craftsmen's Guild, the head of the Yao family deliberately didn't ask about Mo Yan, but instead asked about the newly appointed second elder. Although the position of the second elder of the Craftsmen's Guild wasn't low in the eyes of others, in the eyes of the Yao family's patriarch, he was somewhat unpresentable. After all, this second elder was not conspicuous enough in the Craftsmen's Guild where talents were abundant. If he hadn't become the second elder of the Craftsmen's Guild, the Yao family's patriarch would probably not have noticed him. And now, seeing that the Yao family head had asked for the opinion of his armament guild headquarters, the second elder instantly felt that he had gained face and could represent the armament guild. Therefore, just as he was about to say something, Long Xiaoyu beat him to it. Yao family head, the leader of our blacksmith guild headquarters, is His Excellency Mo Yan. Instead of asking His Excellency Mo Yan, you ask for the second elder's opinion. Are you looking down on His Excellency Mo Yan? Long Xiaoyu's words definitely had the suspicion of sowing discord. Just as the second elder was about to speak up for the Yao family head, he was glared at by Mo Yan. That glare frightened the second elder back from the words he was about to blurt out, so the second elder was well behaved for the time being. When the head of the Yao family heard Long Xiaoyu's provocative words, he smiled and asked, "How should I address you, sir?" "Long Xiaoyu," Long Xiaoyu said calmly. "Thanks, Long Xiaoyu. Your surname is also Long. May I know what is your relationship with Long Ruoxue?" Hearing the name Long Xiaoyu, the head of the Yao family asked this on purpose. In reality, he had investigated Long Ruoxue very thoroughly. Naturally, he knew that Long Ruoxue had just come to the immortal realm from the lower realm not long ago, and he was also aware of the relationship between Long Xiaoyu and Long Ruoxue. However, he pretended to be ignorant and even asked this question on purpose. He wanted to give everyone the feeling that this person was related to Long Ruoxue. This way, even if Long Xiaoyu did not dare to reveal her identity, everyone would be suspicious of his words. This way, he would naturally achieve his goal. Long Ruoxue is my direct descendant. Long Xiaoyu answered honestly when she heard the Yao family head's question. When the people present heard this answer, they all showed surprise in unison. Then, they turned around and started whispering to the people beside them. Long Xiaoyu's answer also caused the head of the Yao family to be slightly taken aback. He really did not expect that under such circumstances, Long Xiaoyu would still dare to reveal his relationship with Long Ruoxue. Was he not afraid of being attacked by the crowd? What gave him the courage to do so? The head of the Yao family couldn't understand, but at the same time, he couldn't help sighing. Why didn't the Yao family have such a daring descendant? It was undeniable that if Long Xiaoyu had not been close to Long Ruoxue, he would have admired this young man. What a pity. They were destined not to be friends. Of course, if Long Xiaoyu was willing to give up on Long Ruoxue and stand on his side, it would be a different story. But was that possible? If Long Xiaoyu was really on his side, he would be suspicious of her motives. Sighing, the head of the Yao family said, "I really didn't expect that the Armament Guild headquarters would send Long Ruoxue's ancestor here. Sir Mo Yin, does the Armament Guild headquarters not know why our Yao family invited all of you?" "Of course I know," Mo Yin said calmly. He glanced at Lung Xiaoyu and continued, Lung Xiaoyu is my disciple. Before I came here, I asked him what he would do if Lung Ruoxue really did something that would anger the heavens and the people. Xiaoyu personally told me that he would put righteousness before family because he stood on the side of justice. So, what reason do we blacksmiths have to not let him come? And Mo Yan's words were very sincere, and everyone could not help but secretly nod in agreement. At the same time, they also had a little more admiration for Lung Xiaoyu. After all, there are not many people in this world who are willing to put righteousness before family. Most people would protect their juniors unconditionally. Even if their juniors did something wrong, they would not allow others to criticize them, let alone allow their juniors to be killed by others. Lung Xiaoyu calmly accepted the attention from the crowd and returned a smile before continuing, I've heard a little about Shui Er's matter, and with what you've just said, I finally have a general understanding of it. So, I have a few questions for you to answer, and I hope you can enlighten me. Then, without giving the head of the Yao family a chance to speak, Lung Xiaoyu started to ask, First, I want to know where the victim of the God Lord's estate's bounty is. They said that because Shui coveted the magical beasts, she had allied with some rebels from the divine realm to attack the magical beasts. Then what about the victims of the magical beasts? There has to be a victim who can explain it, right? The magical beasts have already made a statement. Lung Ruoxue is their enemy. The head of the Yao clan said, That's right. Lung Ruoxue is the common enemy of the Beast clan. This is something that everyone knows. Elder Qin echoed, What if I say that the magical beasts were forced to make that declaration due to the God Lord's estate's attitude? Since the beasts have made a statement, is there a problem for the victims to come out and explain how Shui attacked them? Lung Xiaoyu asked again, Didn't we already say that the Beast clan was attacked by Lung Ruoxue? Where are the victims? The head of the Yao family said matter-of-factly. This time, none of the elders of the dragon kind and the phoenix kind interrupted. Chapter 2297. Lung Xiaoyu's question 3. Patriarch Yao's meaning. I can understand it, as the victims of the Beast clan have all fallen. Lung Xiaoyu tried to probe after hearing Master Yao's words. Of course. The head of the Yao family nodded his head with certainty. In that case, there are no beasties that can come out to testify? Lung Xiaoyu asked. I don't think so, the Yao family's master said. How could he know if there was any? The news had come from the Divine Master's estate. Other than issuing a statement, the beast race had basically remained silent. Therefore, even as the master of one of the 8 great divine domains, he did not know much about this matter. More importantly, he did not expect someone to ask him this question. He could not make up a lie even if he wanted to. Moreover, it was not appropriate for him to make up a lie in public. Otherwise, if Lung Xiaoyu really asked him to produce evidence, wasn't he just shooting himself in the foot? Since there are no beasts who can prove that my Shui really attacked them, why should the beasts make a statement and even let the Divine Master's estate stand up for them? Isn't this clearly a setup? Lung Xiaoyu said angrily after hearing Master Yao's words. How could the God Lord's estate frame you? Lung Ruoxue must have done something like this. Otherwise, the Divine Master's residence wouldn't have issued such a reward. The head of the Yao family said with certainty. Then, he put on an expression that said, I understand how you feel, and consoled Lung Xiaoyu. I know that as Lung Ruoxue's ancestor, you don't want to see her being condemned by the public and being a heinous criminal. However, this is the truth. Unless you can find evidence to prove her innocence, she can only be a demon that everyone in the firmament wants to kill. Of course, he'll think of a way to prove Shui Er's innocence. However, shouldn't the Divine Master's estate and the magical beasts first produce evidence that Shui killed the magical beasts? Otherwise, who would know if it was true? If you can say that Shui is a demon who kills without blinking, then can I also say that Shui was framed? Lung Xiaoyu replied, as if it was only natural. After saying this, he deliberately turned his gaze to the 2 reverent gods from the Divine Master's estate, Huang Wei and Xia Yi. However, the 2 of them did not even look at him. They only lowered their heads and seemed to be thinking about something. How is this the same? would the Divine Master's residence and the Beast clan lie and accuse Lung Ruoxiue? The head of the Yao family said helplessly, "Who knows? We can't believe it unconditionally just because it's said by the Divine Master's estate, right? As the manager of the Divine Realm, shouldn't the God Lord's estate have absolute evidence when it came to speaking and handling matters? Otherwise, how can we be convinced?" Lung Xiaoyu retorted. Seeing how stubborn Lung Xiaoyu was in trying to exonerate Lung Ruoxiue, Elder Qin grew impatient and shouted, "Lung Ruoxiue has indeed killed many beasts. The two elders of our Phoenix clan are still unconscious." Upon hearing this, everyone was shocked. They were even more interested in the gossip about the bounty that had swept the Divine Realm a while ago. Most of them perked up their ears, hoping to hear the most secretive truth. In fact, the reward offered by the Divine Lord's estate was very attractive to the major forces present. However, some top forces did not dare to act rashly because of the face of the master of the Ning family. Only some small forces were guarding the land of demons. Although some of the forces present had sent people to the land of demons, most of them had only gone there to scout for information and pay attention to the latest developments of the incident. Of course, they could not rule out the idea of looting a burning house, but in general, they had not taken any action. Instead, he had been in a state of observation. If they hadn't been observing, they wouldn't have immediately sent people after receiving the Yao family's invitation. However, whether or not they would participate was up to them to decide. Now, most of the forces were unwilling to express their opinions, which meant that they had not made a final decision. However, after hearing Elder Qin's words, apart from being surprised, everyone's gazes all turned to her. When Elder Qin saw this, he couldn't help but regret speaking so quickly. However, wasn't she just getting impatient from Lung Xiaoyu's interrogation? Therefore, she did not think that she had done anything wrong. After hearing Elder Qin's words, Lung Xiaoyu became even calmer. She smiled and asked, "Why didn't Elder Qin say that earlier? I even specifically asked about the beast race's victim. The Yao family head told me that all the victims of the beast race have fallen. Master Yao is right. Most of them have fallen. However, our 4 king divine beasts are still alive. They're just unconscious." Elder Qin said, bracing himself. "The clan of the 4 king divine beasts? If I'm not mistaken, what Elder Qin means is that other than the Phoenix race, the Dragon race, the White Tiger race, and the Qilin race, there are also elders that were injured by Shui. Lung Xiaoyu caught on to Elder Qin's words and asked indifferently, "The Qilin clan doesn't have any, but our 3 clans have elders who are unconscious. It's all Lung Ruoxiue's doing." Elder Qin said through gritted teeth. Although this matter was considered a top secret in the Phoenix clan, as an elder of the Phoenix clan, she still knew about it. At this moment, she had also forgotten the Phoenix King's advice. She only wanted to convict Lung Ruoxiue first. Thanks to the information revealed by her words stunned everyone present once again. Oh my God! The Dragon race, Phoenix race, and White Tiger race all had their elders injured by Lung Ruoxiue. Lung Ruoxiue's strength. At the thought of this, many of the representatives had the intention to retreat. Those who had such thoughts were definitely aware of their own limitations. One must know that they were not as tough-skinned as the magical beasts. Even their elders had been killed by Lung Ruoxiue, so they would probably not be able to gain any advantage from her. However, they could finally confirm one thing, and that was that what the reward said was true. "Can I ask, the elders of your 3 clans who were injured by Shui, or what is their strength?" Lung Xiaoyu asked with a smile as she glanced at the expressions of the people present. She was also a little surprised at the growth rate of her own descendant. It should be known that she and Shui had only been separated for a few years, but Shui was already able to hurt the elders of the 3 great kings of the Divine Beast clan. When she thought of this, she suddenly felt a little worried. After coming out of seclusion this time, he originally thought that he could protect his own genius descendant well. Who knew that he hadn't even had the chance to show off? That was when he heard the truth. However, even after hearing Elder Qin's words, he was still skeptical about what the Divine Lord's estate had said. who asked him to believe that Shwe would not do such a thing. He was very clear how well Shwe treated Beastie. She would not attack the beasts for no reason. If Shwe had really done that, she must have had a reason. He firmly believed in this. Therefore, although he said that he would put righteousness before family, in reality, he was also an old ancestor who protected his children. However, compared to some people who could not tell right from wrong, he was still rational. They're all reverent God level. Elder Chin said. Another elder of the Phoenix clan was really resentful that Elder Chin had failed to meet his expectations when he saw that Elder Chin had revealed his secrets so easily. However, she had already said it, so she could only accept it. How many Reverend God level experts are there? Lung Xiaoyu continued to ask. 6 of you. Are you done? Why do you have so many questions? Elder Chin roared impatiently. At this time, she also felt that something was wrong, because the gazes of the people present were clearly disdainful. Elder Chin was a little angry, who asked her to not know why she was being despised by others. In fact, she was not the one that they despised, but the 3 King Divine Beast clans. Just think about it. How powerful would 6 Reverent God level experts be? And those were the 6 Reverent God level beasts with the noblest bloodline. However, they had all been injured by Lung Ruoxue. Now, they no longer dared to imagine Lung Ruoxue's strength. The only thing they could think about was why the 6 Reverent God level experts were so weak. Everyone was puzzled by this, and once the truth of the matter exceeded the bottom line that they could accept and acknowledge, they would naturally become suspicious. Thus, they all had a sense of distrust towards the truth of Elder Chin's words, but they did not dare to show it too obviously. But their contemptuous gazes were not concealed at all. Lung Xiaoyu was secretly observing all of this, and she was already laughing in her heart. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue and the rest who were at the bottom of the cliff were also watching the live broadcast through the screen. When Tsang saw Lung Xiaoyu's question after question, making Patriarch Yao and Elder Chin a little impatient, he could not help but smile at Lung Ruoxue. Girl, your family's old ancestor isn't bad. He's worth nurturing. That's right. Don't you know whose family it is? Lung Ruoxue said, with a proud expression. Looking at Lung Ruoxue's smug expression, the evildoer could not help but stretch out his fingers and pinch Lung Ruoxue's perfect face. He smiled and said, Shwe, look at how smug you are. Actually, you wanted to say, Shwe, you're really too cute now. However, he was afraid that Shwe would be proud, so he changed his words. However, when Tsang heard his words, he did not give him any face and said, So what if I'm smug? Others may not be allowed to show off, but my girl can show off as she likes, and she can do whatever she wants. It's not your girl, it's mine. Tsang's words made evildoer grit his teeth in hatred. However, in the divine world, he really couldn't do anything to Tsang. Hence, he could only swallow his anger and watch this fellow prancing around in front of him. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.